Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated. Yeah, I'm into that lately.
442?
No, 432.
32. Take it down. Oh, sure.
Yeah, but it's supposedly like it makes the sound waves more symmetrical. Like it's more like this universal frequency.
Right.
Apparently.
Well, you know the thing about like the heavy German classical composer world.
Right. And
they were the first ones to really start fucking with the...
They took it to 440, I guess.
They're the ones that locked it at 440.
Right.
As standard.
Yeah.
And then they started taking it higher.
Yeah, okay.
42, 44. And the singers started to go nuts.
Right.
Hey, this is hard enough to sing already. Yeah. I can't. 444. You out of your mind?
Yeah, you're out of your mind.
You know?
Huh. I wonder what got them doing that.
Well, because the sound.
Oh, it was like
the strings
nicer or something.
And the fiddles really cut.
I see.
You know?
Yeah.
When you're too much. I'll tell you a funny story. You know Bill Monroe.
Who?
Bill Monroe, the bluegrass mandolin player, kind of like the father of bluegrass music,
okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So he... he was this like legendary guy, Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys, right?
Uh-huh.
So many years ago, I'm out on the road with somebody, and we're in Milwaukee in the middle of the night. We're at the truck stop, and I see Bill Monroe and the Bluegrass Boys bus pulls up.
Well, they had it like written on the side.
Written on the side, blue and white.
Those guys, like they would do that.
Paid
like,
to advertise for those guys.
Yeah, exactly.
So I see, it's like 3 o'clock in the morning, but I see some of the guys getting off the bus. So I go down and I start talking to them, and they were telling me that the way they would tune up before a show, all acoustic instruments, mandolin, banjo,
double bass,
guitar, maybe double bass.
And you play that too, don't you? You play.
I play different things with strings.
Right.
Try.
Yeah.
I don't think I would rent myself out as a big bass player, but
yeah.
Electric bass I do work with. Anyway, the guys are telling me that the way they would tune on any given night was Bill would come in, he'd tune his mandolin to his ear. And start playing and go, tune up, and they'd have to tune. And sometimes it would be real high.
Right.
Really high. The guys that sang high harmony were like, that's so hard already.
Yeah.
And now he's got us, a step and a half up.
Yeah.
A is B now.
Uh-huh.
Or B and a half.
Yeah.
And it was funny.
I think that chaos in the tuning world makes for better soulful music.
It can be very cool.
All that bendy stuff and like if it's too perfect.
Oh yeah, some of the greatest records ever.
Yeah, like the
when you
Dylan
really listen
things,
to it.
like
tuning,
so many of them. Like the bass mistakes that get left in they become your favorite thing. Like you start waiting for it. Oh wait, here comes the bass mistake. And the bass doesn't follow the chord here.
You know
what I mean? Like
Subterranean Homesick Blues, right? The Dylan song, Jonathan in the basement, mixing up the medicine, I'm on the pavement. There's a tremendous bass mistake in there. Because the verses, it's a blues, basically, but the verses are odd.
Right.
Some of them got extra lines.
Right, and he's probably improvising to a degree.
Maybe.
Or maybe.
I mean,
at least the band didn't know when he was.
Band didn't know when he was going to go.
Right.
And there's also on Like a Rolling Stone, the big famous giant single. There's a serious bass clam on that.
Yeah, for real.
But it was a great take, and they left it in.
Yeah, I just love that they left it in because they could have fixed it probably. Even then, maybe not. I don't know.
In those days,
it
was like,
maybe.
Or just because of overdubs. I mean, it went to a multi-track. It wasn't live to half-inch or some shit, right? I mean,
not by then. It was at least 4-track.
It was at least, yeah.
But it was everybody playing in a room.
Right.
So the bass sound was on there. Bass sound was on the drum track.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So even if they tried to fix it, the would have still been there.
Would have been weird.
Yeah.
So they just left it.
They just left it. Because I only, like freak musicians hear it, but regular people don't hear it. They hear the feel.
Heard it.
No, regular
I'm
people.
Go listen to it.
Yeah.
Or just when you hear it, then you think, okay, that's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah.
And it becomes how it's supposed to be.
It becomes iconic.
It becomes iconic.
Yeah.
It's weird. But so like, cause how long did you tour with Dylan?
Well, steady, like almost without going home for 2 years, from 88 up into end of 90, and then 2 more years of in and out, off and on stuff. And the last thing I did with them was that they did this big show at Madison Square Garden, the 30th anniversary on Columbia Records.
Okay.
And pretty much everybody, like from Johnny Cash to Chrissy Hynde, was on that show.
Right.
You know, so that was real interesting. That particular one.
Yeah.
'Cause I was a musical director. On it. And I figured that I'd get to put together a great band, you know, because we got this corporate budget, right? We got the Columbia budget.
Right.
So we can hire everybody that we need.
And pay them
correctly. Yeah. You know. And we did. We put together a really good band. But then Jeff Kramer, the manager, handed me a sheet of paper with everybody who was going to be on the show, their names and their phone numbers. This is before like texting and stuff. This is 92, right?
So these are landlines.
Most people weren't doing it. It's the landlines. And it's like, call these people up and see what song they want to do.
Oh, God.
What Bob song do they want to do? So I figure, oh, no, I'm going to have to be the referee on a war of 9 guys that want to do like a Rolling Stone. You know, fortunately, that didn't happen.
Right.
Everybody was great about it. They picked different songs. Most people picked obscure songs. You know, Tom Petty, Neil Young, Roger McGuinn, all these people. A lot of them I had met already, you know, from being around. But Johnny Cash, I'd never met. I got to call up Johnny Cash.
Wow.
That's scary.
That is scary.
Right?
Yeah.
So I got myself all brave, you know.
What'd you do?
I called.
Take a shot of booze or something like that? How do you prepare?
I just it was a mind thing.
Run around the block 3 times?
Yeah, it was a mind. I ran around the West Village for a while.
Yeah.
Came back to the phone.
20 push-ups.
I call, and this woman answers the phone. I explain who I am. And she, oh, yeah, we knew you were going to call. Now, let me see what John's doing. It was June, his wife, June Carter.
Equally legendary. You were
I almost had a heart attack when I heard her voice because I knew who it was right away.
Right.
Anyway.
And they were waiting for you, just like a family member.
They knew it was gonna. They knew I was gonna call.
Yeah.
But like I said, everybody on that show was great. George Harrison, Eric Clapton. They were all Lou Reed.
Wow.
They were all of them. Well, if Eric can't come to the rehearsal at 1:00, he can have my slot.
Yeah,
and I'll come at 10 in the George Harrison. I'll come at 10 in the morning if you want.
Wow.
Whatever you want, just let me know.
That's wild.
It was great. I think because it was Bob, the respect.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
If it'd been me and you, they'd have been, no, I'm coming at 2.
Right.
That's that.
You're lucky I'm coming.
You're lucky I'm even coming. Right. Exactly.
They wouldn't pick up the phone. They'd have a publicist to do it.
They would come. They would just come begrudgingly.
I mean, a lot of them I did talk to their manager or whatever, you know, but everybody was great.
What do you think about you as kept becoming this like musical director figure in these major pop culture situations?
I think that the years that I was on the TV show on Saturday Night Live, right?
Yeah, you have quite a presence on that show.
Well, there's still nothing stronger than television.
Yeah.
In the United States, and no matter how much of a dummy I was established as somebody that knew what he was doing just because I was on there for 10 years.
You always look like you know what you're doing.
You know, we tried. We had a good time, and again, an incredible band. Because of corporate money, NBC, all that money.
Yeah.
I was able to hire the best musicians. I had Steve Turre, the jazz trombone player. He was like the downbeat #1 every year guy, you know.
Yeah.
Major people in that band.
Yeah.
And Leon Pendarvis and Cheryl Hardwick, the keyboard players. Phenomenal musicians, you know. You couldn't just hire these people with enough money and it was great. That was really fun. So yeah, I think people got used to seeing me as a band leader,
right?
Because of that,
and that led to the position with Bob, ultimately.
Somewhere in there, because it was at the same time I did Bob while I was doing the show. A lot of
which is phenomenal.
A lot of airplanes.
Yeah, and that he wouldn't book Saturday night gigs.
He actually did that for a few years. Well, they only do 20 Saturday Night Lives in a season from like September to May or whatever, right?
So he could still do like 30 Saturdays.
So 20 of those Saturday nights, he would let me, go home if I had to.
But still, for a guy like that, to forfeit that for you,
it was pretty amazing.
That's pretty. That must have
I was honored to play with Bob. I really was. I learned a lot. He back then in those days it was cassettes. But he'd give me cassettes, or he'd on the bus he'd play me listen to this now. Listen to this guy.
What'd you learn from him?
A lot of like traditional songs. American traditional stuff, Civil War songs. He has a library in his head of Civil War songs. One time we come out, the way that we would do the show, we had a trio, guitar, bass, and drums, right? And Bob. Okay, so I'm playing electric guitar, a bass player, and a drummer. Bob up front. We would start the show like that, do half hour, 45 minutes, and then just me and Bob would come out with acoustic guitars. Mm-hmm. And he would play whatever he wanted. And I would just follow him. Most of that show was just following Bob,
How hard was that? Has that to do? I don't know how you.
I always loved that seat of the pants.
You love it?
Yeah, I do.
That's why you're good at it.
I don't know if I'm good at it, but I do love it. And I was a big Bob fan from when his first record came out. I got his first record, when I was like 11 or something. I got that record and I loved it. You know. In fact, there's a funny story. The way I got the gig with him. There was a guy named Elliot Roberts.
His manager.
His manager at the time. Now, Elliot managed Neil Young and Joni Mitchell. Elliot passed away
just recently.
Last year.
Yeah, rest in peace.
But he managed them. And Elliot had managed me for a minute.
Okay.
In about 1980 or something. So I get a call one day at the Saturday Night Live office, and it's Elliot. And he says, "Hey, man, what are you doing tomorrow night?" It was a Wednesday night. He said, "What are you doing tomorrow night?" I said, "Nothing, I'm around." He goes, "Can you get a bass player and a drummer and be at Montana Studios," which is up on, I don't know if it's still there, but it was up on 10th Avenue. He said, "Can you be at Montana at 10 o'clock?"
10th and what?
Like 56th, maybe,
okay.
Something like that.
Up
upstairs.
Isn't that Avatar?
Is it? It might have changed, but it was called Montana.
I see, Montana.
And it was kind of like a high-priced rehearsal place. Like if you couldn't afford SIR, you could go to you could pay more and go to Montana.
Right.
If you wanted to kind of up it, and very private.
Right.
Very cool place. The Eagles would rehearse there and shit.
Right.
So
when ABBA rolled through town.
Hey, ABBA didn't need to rehearse. Come on.
That's true.
They just were.
They had it on lock.
They
You're
just
right.
were.
They just like a flower.
I heard they might play again.
Really?
Yeah.
That's funny.
Do something. Benny and Bjorn and the rest of the gang. Anyway, so he says, "Can you be there at 10 o'clock with a bass player and a drummer? Bob is in town and he wants to play." And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I think I could get a couple guys for that, for Bob Dylan." So
10 p.m.?
Be there at 10 p.m. Okay. So,
I love that it starts at 10 p.m.
Yeah. So I show up with my guys. And T-Bone Wolk, who was my great friend who had played with me with Daryl Hall and John Oates and was also on the Saturday Night Live band, and Chris Parker, the drummer on the Saturday Night Live band. Great musicians, really nice guys. And we show up, 9:45, man. We are standing on the stage, tuned up, ready to go.
Yeah.
And it was weird when we got there. We came up in the elevator, and there was nobody there.
That's
there wasn't even like a reception person at the
Why
desk.
Is that? Because it was normally closed?
No, normally you'd come up and there'd be somebody at the desk and you'd tell them, "I'm here for what session, whatever session it was."
For a rehearsal studio.
Yeah, nobody there. The place was pretty dark.
Okay.
But I knew the layout and I knew that we would be on the main good stage, So I went down there and there was the gear and the stage was lit. But it was a big room and the whole back of the room was darkness.
It's like a movie.
It was like a movie.
It's like a movie.
Bob is in the
Noir.
It was like, this is like a noir.
Very, very noir. So we get up on the stage and we check everything. We check the gear and everything's good and we're all tuned up.
Right.
We're just kind of waiting and we're nervous, It's Bob Dylan.
Yeah.
And time goes by. Time gets to like 10:45.
Oh, man.
And then about maybe 5 of 11, out of the darkness in the back of the room.
Told you.
He's been there the whole time.
Probably been there the whole time.
Told you.
With the hoodie.
Right. Oh,
and
yeah.
the gloves
And the
with the
glasses.
fingers cut off.
Man.
You know, and he comes up. And I said, hi, Bob, you know, G.E. And he goes, yeah, hi. And he puts on a Stratocaster and he starts like strumming an E chord. So we kind of kick in behind him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he's about 5 feet up in front of us.
Right.
He's got a microphone and a little station up there, you know.
Uh-huh.
He's just dong, 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 get dong. We kick in and we're dong, 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 get to go right along with him. And this goes on.
Just on E?
Just on E. No change, no nothing. And he's not looking at us. He's not.
How long?
A while.
Like 10 minutes?
10 minutes.
Yeah.
Which can be, as you know.
No, that's an eternity to
That's a
drone on
long
an
time
E chord
on
with
an
Bob
E-chord,
Dylan. After you
with anybody.
With anybody, but especially him, I gotta
No
imagine.
groove, no particular, nothing changed. It was just. Okay, so finally he just stops.
Oh, that's so funny, dude.
And then he sort of did, I don't even remember what he did, but he did one of his songs, you know, in a very offhand kind of way, you know, sort of disinterested.
Lackluster.
Very not. And I thought, oh God, this is weird. Okay, but he wanted to play, so here we are.
Yeah.
Then after a couple of those, then he turns around and he walks over. Me and T-Bone are standing right next to each other. And he goes, hey, do you guys know Pretty Peggy-O?
Uh-huh.
And me and T-Bone knew Pretty Peggy-O. So we both, like twins, we go, sure. And he goes,
how do you know that song?
well, I know a lot of that traditional American stuff.
That's
you know.
amazing.
I love those songs. You know. Anyway, we go, sure. And he goes, you do? And he gets animated for the first time. You know, you do. So he turns around and he starts doing Pretty Peggy-O. And we kick in and we really did know it.
Right.
You know? Okay, and then after that, he starts playing now, song after song, just one after another. And we're following him, and
it started to vibe.
He started vibing, and his energy really came way up, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so at some point, he thanked us, and he disappeared into the back of the blackness in the room, you know.
Back to the dark shadows.
And that was it, and we packed up and left. And
how long was it?
It was a few hours.
Like 3 hours?
Yeah, without stopping.
That's
I mean, like song after song after song after song, 40, 50 songs.
That's
easy.
crazy.
Yeah. He knows more songs than I know. A lot of songs. I know probably a couple thousand songs that you would recognize. And I could just sit here and play like Motown, R&B stuff, you know, hits from the World War I up to now, you know, standards.
Yeah.
He knows way more.
Really?
I mean, the guy knows. Plus, he's read every book. I'm a reader.
Yeah.
You know? He has read every book. We started talking about Moby Dick one day. He started quoting it.
Really?
Hey, you know that chapter about the ropes? There's a whole chapter in there about, you know, seamen tie ropes, you know, sailors. And he's quoted paragraphs from the rope chapter.
Damn.
Anyway,
that makes me feel like I need to try harder in life.
Right?
When you say that.
Oh, man.
Like, I need to try harder.
Well, he's obviously got a big brain. You know, he's got a serious intellect. He does.
Yeah, that's true.
So we left, and I remember in the cab going back to where T-Bone was parked, we were like, wow, that was so cool. We got to play with Bob Dylan, you know, great. So then next day or 2 days later, I'm in the office, phone, it's Elliot Roberts again. And he goes, all right, you got the gig. First rehearsals in California on whatever. Wait, Elliot, what gig? What are you talking about? Oh, didn't I tell you that was the audition?
Yeah.
I mean, no, you didn't tell me.
But you didn't suspect it was some kind of audition process?
No, I really thought
you thought you were just jamming.
Because that's classic Bob. You know,
yeah,
you
that's
just
true.
want to play.
That's true.
Get some guys. I want to play.
Right.
Fine.
That makes sense.
So we got the gig. So eventually, now Bob never told me this, but I got this from like Elliot.
Were you already doing Saturday Night Live?
Yes, we were in the middle of
so you were
Saturday Night
already
Live.
in
This is
there.
1988.
Oh, okay.
This is like the spring of '88.
All right.
And
so wait, Bob didn't tell you this, but you heard something. Sorry, I cut you off.
Yeah, Bob never confirmed this story to me, but what I heard was that he had done his two previous tours. One of them had been with the Grateful Dead backing him up, and one of them with Tom Petty and the
Petty's
Heartbreakers
band,
backing
yeah.
him up.
I seen that show.
Did you see that one?
Yeah.
So he had two well-established, big,
Huge
powerful
bands,
bands backing him up. Bands with real character and their own life.
That's
you know?
true. Yeah.
and he wanted to just cut down to a trio
Strip
of
it.
just some guys.
That makes sense.
Right? Yeah. It made sense. And he had been going around the country and had auditioned 3 or 4 trios. And at some point he would say, "You guys know Pretty Peggy-O?" Mm-hmm. And we were the only ones that did.
Pretty Peggy-O.
We were the ones that knew it.
That's amazing.
Peggy got us the gig.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
Who wrote Pretty Peggy-O?
Oh, man, that's traditional.
How does that one go? Do you know?
As we march down, as we march down, as we march down to Fenario, where the captain fell in love with a girl like a dove. She's the prettiest girl that I ever seen, yo. Come marching, come running down the stairs. Come running down the stairs. Come running down the stairs, pretty Peggy-O. Come running down the stairs, combing back your yellow hair. You're the prettiest girl that I ever seen, yo.
Senior.
Peggy-O, senior.
I can see why Bob likes that song.
Oh, yeah.
It sounds like something he would have wrote.
Well, I do it like him. You know?
Yeah.
But the Dead did it. You know, a lot of people have done that song. It's
okay.
a traditional
That's funny.
American ballad.
Yeah.
You know.
So when you got the gig, then did you immediately have to say to Bob or Elliot, like, "Hey, I got this Saturday Night Live"?
Well, they were aware of that.
They
were
already
well aware.
Factored that in.
Elliot had certainly factored it in.
Yeah,
as a manager, he had to think about stuff like that. You know, but it all worked out. But that was how it started, and it was for me to get to play with him was just an honor, just the deepest. I always been lucky, you know. Because there's a million guitar players. There's lots of guys that play real good, you know. I've just been lucky, and I would fall into these different things. You know, I played with David Bowie a tiny bit, and I just met him at a party.
Right.
And
he liked your crew cut.
He did.
Yeah.
Do you know that story?
I know that story. Yeah.
Tell it.
Yeah.
He
because this is when everybody was a long hair, and G told the guy to make his head look like he just got out of the Marines.
Exactly. I would go to the barber and say, make it look like I'm in the Marines, you know, and they would just shave it off, you know. And this was when this was in the 70s, you know, like when Boston was coming out, and the guys had the dues, you know. Anyway,
what do was Bowie sporting then?
He had the like comb back, you know, the thin white Duke. We were at a party. I was at a party, and he was there. And he always had this woman, Coco, who was his sort of buffer to the world, you know. And Coco came over to me at some point and said, "Would you like to meet David?" I said, "Of course." So she comes over and introduces me. He was very nice, nicest guy, really.
That's what I heard.
Yeah, David. When he smiled at you, man, you were smiled at.
Right.
More than anybody I ever knew.
Yeah.
The guy was he was really nice. Anyway, okay, so we just say hello and, you know, idle chatter for a minute, nothing specific. And I'm back then over on some other side of the party, and he's doing whatever he's doing. And at some point, Coco comes over and says, "David's shooting a video tomorrow, and he would like you to be in the video." I said, "Great, I'd love to." You know, where is it? It was right down the street from where I was living. I was living at 72nd and Central Park West. It was like right down the street. They were shooting it. What time? 2 o'clock. Okay. I said, "Should I bring my guitar?" She goes, "Oh, you're a guitar player?" I said, "Yeah." She goes, "Wait a minute." She goes back over to her. She comes back. She says, "Okay, you're going to play the guitar player in the video." And then we wound up doing a little stuff, you know.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What'd you do with him?
We went, the best thing was remember the Johnny Carson show?
Yeah, of course.
You would have just been a child at the time.
Well, I mean, I grew up, like, I'm 48.
Okay.
You know.
You're starting to grow up.
Starting to grow up.
I'll give it to you.
It was the last hour and a half Johnny Carson show, as it turned out, and Richard Pryor was also on the show. Mm-hmm. So that was cool. I got to meet Pryor. But we went out to Los Angeles, did the show, and the new song he had coming out that we had shot the video for was "Ashes to Ashes."
Okay, wow.
Great song.
It's one of the best.
Time and again I tell myself I'll stay clean tonight, but the little green wheels are following me. I said, David, what are the little green wheels? And he went, oh, you know, if you're at the BBC, and the woman comes with the tea cart, and it's got the green wheels.
The little green wheels.
That's what he was talking about.
Yeah.
Right? And I had done shows on the BBC with different bands, you know, so I knew what he was talking about, but you'd never know that unless he told you.
Well, it sounds like a psychological state when you put it like the little
The
green wheels.
The way he says it.
Yeah. It makes it sound like you're some sort of psychotic vision or something.
Right.
Yeah.
But it was
just
the tea
literal.
cart.
It was just a tea
Literally
cart.
the tea cart.
Yeah.
Which, you know...
Which he did that because he did the cut-up technique.
He would do the cut-up
stuff. That's like taking cut-up from life.
I don't know how... I mean, you write great songs, man.
Thank you, sir.
And I don't know your writing process, but a lot of the people I've known that wrote good songs, Daryl Hall.
God, what a legend. Love him.
Yeah, that was my first kind of...
Big gig?
Big gig, yeah.
Yeah.
It's funny when I got hired for
I'm a huge fan of those Hall Oates days.
Those records are so good.
Come on.
Those
They
records.
still just bang.
They sound amazing.
It just sounds crushing still.
It really does.
Yeah, it's just like, there's no wonder they were as huge as they were. It's like it's undeniable.
Well, you know, they had a big breakout in the mid-'70s when they had Sarah Smile, Rich
That's my
Girl.
favorite still, Sarah Smile.
Sarah Smile, what a record, right?
Beautiful.
Great song.
Yeah.
And then it kind of fell off.
Oh,
for
did
a
it?
while. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, it really did.
Oh, that's good to hear.
They did
because you know it
Showbiz.
inspires you to
Right.
keep swinging,
keep swinging.
keep swinging. Even Hall and Oates fell off for a second because
when they hired me, which I think was at the tail end of '78.
Just when it was about to go nuclear.
Right. Well, they hired me, and I got $200 a week when we first went on the road. $100 to play the guitar, and $100 to drive one of the station wagons.
That's wild.
And we were playing.
That's wild.
We were playing bars, and we were playing joints.
Right.
You know, but pretty quick, they recorded. You know, we got in the studio and recorded and got some records out, and things started popping pretty good, and it went from the station wagons to Learjets and limos. And stayed there, you know.
Yeah.
So I was with them from '79 to '85.
That's a good long run in the
It was
music
nice,
business.
man. We had a great time.
Yeah.
All over the world. Some of those records like Man Eater.
Yeah.
Remember that song Man Eater?
Oh, fuck
that
yeah.
record
Dude,
was so big all over the world.
Yeah. I used to roller skate to Man Eater. Dude,
Right.
I used to go to the roller rink and fucking fuck with Man Eater.
Were you on the albums too?
Yeah. Oh yeah. No.
Yeah.
What we would do once things really got rolling. At that time, the way they toured, it took 9 months to do the world. I'm putting the air quotes around the world.
The world.
It took 9 months to do a world tour. We would do the United States, of course, Canada, Europe, Japan. They were huge in Japan. Daryl and John, just huge. We would do Japan and Australia, New Zealand. Right. Come back, maybe take a month off, and then go into Electric Lady.
Okay.
And do a record.
Is that where you cut those records?
That's where we cut most of the stuff that I did with them.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, most of the stuff. And it was kind of the dawn of the digital recording world.
Is that right?
Yeah.
80s?
Early 80s.
Really?
Early 80s. I think that the first CD was released in 81, right?
Oh, right. That's true.
I think the first digital recording, Ry Cooder and Springsteen did the first two, or some of the first three digital recordings. We actually did a session from Electric Lady with Stevie Wonder. He was in Tokyo, I think. So it was the first time, because of digital, that we could link up and do something at the same time.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah. And we had Daryl and John bought one of the first, if not the first, synclavier, which was a
Synclavier.
synclavier.
Is that yeah?
However you say it. We used to call it synclavier, but
Synclavier. Yeah,
And-
I've always heard it called
Right.
Synclavier or whatever.
And that was
that
a
crazy sampler.
It was a sampler. It was the first
Cost like $50,000, right?
50 grand. I think it was more,
like
man.
$100,000. Yeah, there was like
$100,000.
4 of them. Peter,
Big money.
Peter Gabriel had one.
Yep.
And
But
like
I think Daryl and John,
yeah, no, it's
Daryl
like
and John
that.
got like the first or the second one, and not only did you get the instrument, it was a keyboard thing, it was a synthesizer, but it would work off samples. You could record into
now
it.
You can get one at the App Store for 99
right?
cents.
You probably can. One that with more function.
Right.
But not only did you get the instrument, a guy.
Yeah, you needed a guy.
You got a guy.
You got a teacher. Yeah, because it was so fucking complicated.
The guy came on the road with us.
There's a Synclavier guy.
Dude's name, his name was Wells.
Right.
He came from the factory with this thing.
In the box.
I guess in the box.
No, you pump him up. He comes.
He comes.
Like, you pump him up. It comes with an air pump.
Do you have to pay for his food on the road?
Nah. He's self-sustaining. Just like
you
throw
plug
some
him into the
you plug him
Synclavier.
in. Yeah.
But it was so expensive that you got a guy with it. But they were into that stuff.
Yeah.
And they were also there for the dawn of MTV.
Right.
And Tommy Mottola, who was their manager at the time, legendary music business guy.
Yeah.
And Daryl and John, they were very aware of that MTV was going to be
huge.
A big deal.
Yeah.
And we had 7 or 8 or 9 videos in the can ready to go when MTV came on.
Man.
So in like the first...
Perfect timing for everything.
I remember when the night it came on, which I could be wrong, but it was in April of 81, I think.
Yeah.
We were out in like, I think Norman, Oklahoma or somewhere playing at the university, Oklahoma State University. We had done a gig. And I remember we came back to the hotel and we all went to somebody's room and watched this MTV come on the air.
Yeah.
You know?
That's crazy.
And back then, there were no commercials.
Yeah.
There were only music videos.
Yeah. What year was that?
81, I'm pretty sure.
81?
I'm pretty sure it was April of 81. We'll have to check.
Okay.
You know?
I could check.
I remember
Check.
when MTV first landed. That hit me like I was 10 years old.
Oh, so cool.
11 years old. So it was like perfect.
It was so cool.
We didn't have cable at my house, but I would go to my friend's house with cable.
Where'd you grow up?
In Ohio. Akron, Ohio.
In Akron?
Actually, yeah, you did
My
the
mom
whole
was from
Cleveland
Akron.
Browns thing.
I did the thing with the Browns.
Yeah,
My
we got to
buddy
go into
Randy
that
Lerner.
too. But
Yeah.
your mom's from Akron?
My mom was from Akron, yeah.
That's crazy, dude.
Yeah.
That's where I'm from.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just was there. I just played a show.
Ohio is big music territory.
Yeah, it is.
Big time. American music.
I went to the same high school as Chrissy Hine and
There
the
you
Black
go.
Keys and Rachel Sweet.
Chrissy Hine, man. A
Yeah,
rocker
Pretenders.
from her head to her toes.
Yeah. She's
I mean,
the
I played with a
legit
lot of
real
people.
deal. Yeah.
She is the real deal. I mean, you play with her, you're rocking. You feel it. She starts whacking on that Telecaster, and it's bang, it's there.
Yeah. When did you played with her?
I didn't play in her band or anything,
No.
but I've gotten to play with her a couple times. Like
Okay.
on that
Awesome.
big Bob Dylan show, she
Oh,
was
right.
on that. And she was on Saturday Night Live a couple times. I might have played with her once on there, and then once she had her full band. I don't remember, but I know I played with her a couple times, and it's inspiring. She's just one of those people. She puts on the guitar and hits it, and you go, "Yeah, okay, I'm in. I got it."
Yeah.
Just for fact checking.
Great song,
Yeah, what is it?
MTV's midnight at August 1st, 1981.
There you go. Okay, so it was August.
Nice.
August 1st, yeah.
Man.
We were in Norman, Oklahoma. I do remember that.
What was the first Hall Oates video?
That came on. Ooh, I don't remember right now.
I'll look that up.
Which one? Yeah. What was the first Hall
Yeah,
Oates
look it
video
up.
played on MTV?
But my friend Greg Dooley, I don't know if you're familiar with the Afghan Wigs.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
But we're big Hall Oates fans, and we're one time nerding out on Hall Oates records and talking about the fact that almost all of them have fade outs.
yes.
Isn't that
Well, that's
funny?
'cause that's
they
classic.
just keep going forever.
Long fade outs.
They just, long fade outs.
They were
It's
so
like-
into that, and we would sit in the studio, and go, "No, man, make it longer." Right here. When Mickey, the drummer, when Mickey does that little thing,
Yeah.
then we go out.
Oh, right.
That's where you can't hear it anymore.
Yeah.
But remember the song?
They all fade out.
Yeah.
It's-
Out of Touch.
oh,
Remember
yeah.
that song?
Dude.
Oh, wait a minute. Am I doing it in the wrong key? That's it.
Yeah.
You're out of touch. I'm out of time. Going out of my head when you're not around. You're out of touch. I'm out of time. Waking up is all that we know. Oh, man.
Yeah, dude.
So I remember playing on that record, and when it got to the chorus, you know, you can hear that guitar. It's a big old Gretsch with a Bigsby, you know, just wanging that chord. Great songs.
Great thrilling times, man.
It was.
How'd you get hooked up with them?
They're Pennsylvania guys. I'm a Pennsylvania guy.
Oh, okay.
But they were in the studio in the summer of, I guess it's the summer of 79. Yeah, it's summer of 79. They're in the studio, and they were having trouble with guitar players.
Mm-hmm.
A guy named Eddie Zine, who had played drums with them in that mid-70s period, I had worked with a band out of the city here called Desmond Child and Rouge.
Oh, okay.
Desmond went on to write
Big
a lot of songs.
Hitmaker.
Hitmaker.
I got to meet him recently.
Loving an Elevator.
He's still doing it.
He's doing it.
Yeah, Loving an
Amazing
Elevator.
guy.
Yeah.
But he wrote a
Dude looks like a lady.
Dude looks like that's the one. Dude
Yeah,
looks like
yeah,
a lady.
dude looks like a lady.
Dude looks like a lady.
He's a dope dude.
Yeah, he is. He knows what he's doing.
He's a cool dude.
But he was young. We were all young then, and he had this record out. So Eddie Zine had played drums in that outfit when we were out on the road and making the records. And then so he had dropped by to visit with Daryl and John just to say hey. And they were really having a problem with this guitar player that night. And Eddie said, well, I know a guy that plays, you know, that you might like. And he's from Pennsylvania, like you guys. And so they were like, okay, send him around, you know.
Mm-hmm.
So I came and I met him, and Daryl at the time had an apartment in the West Village, and he said, well, come over to my place tomorrow afternoon, and we'll play. Bring your guitar, and we'll play.
Like an audition.
Yeah. He said, I got a piano there, and we'll play. So I got my guitar, and I brought a little amp with me, and I go up in his apartment, and we sit down, and we start talking, and I used to wear some clothes in those days, you know, my crew cut and stuff, and he wore some clothes himself.
What do you mean, like you all dressed up to kill?
I had some, yeah.
You guys were killing it?
Those were different times, you know.
People were more fun?
Yeah, well, I was anyway. So he liked whatever, something I had on, a shirt or something.
Yeah.
You know? Vintage. I used to wear a lot of vintage clothing, you know.
Right on.
And the crew cut was still real weird.
Right.
You know. 79. It was weird.
It was weird.
Yeah. Like Jerry Murata, who was the drummer.
Yeah, he used to play with Peter Gabriel.
He played with Gabriel, exactly.
Yeah, I almost got to play with him.
Jerry's a fantastic musician. Great guitar player, great
musical,
singer.
Very musical dude.
He can sing.
He's upstate, I think.
Yeah.
We should try to get in touch with him.
Yeah, you should. Tell him I said, hey, if you do. He's a great guy.
Yeah.
But I was walking with Jerry one time, and I was wearing like this like gray suit from about 1960, you know, and I got the crew cut, and we're walking past the Port Authority building, and Jerry starts laughing. I said, what are you laughing at, man? He said, man, we're walking down here, 42nd Street. People are looking at you. You know, like I was so weird looking to people back then.
You just had the light, dude.
I don't know. I don't know if it was the light. I had something going.
You were wild. You're a wild character.
But anyway, I went up in Daryl's apartment that day, and we started talking about clothes, and then we talked about Pennsylvania a little bit and music, because him and John both loved all the old, you know, the Motown and the that stuff. Like, I don't know if you know these records. There was a great whole bunch of records that came out of Philadelphia and Chicago. The Dells and the Chai Lights and the Delphonics, you know. Didn't I blow your mind this time, didn't I? And then somebody go, wah, you know, like 4 octaves above where there were some guys singing, you know. All those, and I knew all those records. I knew how to play them, and so we talked about all that. But we never wound up playing a note.
Right.
I just got the gig.
Oh, just from the
nice
chat
shirt
and because you look
and
cool
a
as
rap.
fuck.
Yeah.
That's funny as hell.
Now, I got to mention T-Bone Wolk, who was the bass player at the time. And
coolest looking dude, too.
Greatest guy, man. My dear friend, he passed away.
Recently, right?
Well, a few years ago now.
Sorry
Probably maybe 8 years ago.
Oh, okay.
He went home one night
still
after.
recent.
Yeah. He went home one night after a session with Daryl, and he's sitting at the table with his girlfriend eating a sandwich, and he goes, hey, you know, I don't feel so
really
gone, like a light going out.
That's pretty wild.
And he had always told me that he had something wrong with his heart and that could happen.
Oh, that's interesting. So the heart went.
Yeah. Yeah, it just went. But he was the greatest. If you see the...
I loved his soul patch.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
he had classic.
Iconic soul patch.
And just the best bass player. And an incredibly good guitar player. And a great piano player. He played the accordion. He was a New York State accordion champion when he was like 11 or 12.
That's funny.
You know. This guy was a real musician, you know.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky I got to play with these real musicians, you know. When I was a kid in Pennsylvania, I'd look at the pictures of like Miles and Sonny Rollins and all the Cats, you know, and the old jazz bands. And I'd go, I want to be with those guys.
Right.
You know.
How old were you?
When I was little.
Yeah,
like looking at stuff.
5, 6?
5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And you know, so I got a guitar when I was 4, by accident.
What drew you to music? Was your parents?
I got a guitar. There was a guitar
from your uncle, right?
It was hanging in the basement. It had been. My uncle was like a antique, glorified junk dealer.
Okay,
my Uncle George, that I'm named after.
Oh, okay.
And there was a guitar that he had got on some deal, just a cheap, collegiate brand.
And you were attracted to it.
I was attracted. I said to my mom, "What is that?" She said, "It's a guitar. Do you want it?" I said, "Yeah, give it to me." And I dragged it out back, and I would lay it on the ground.
Yeah.
And I would, with the low string, I would just whang on it. And who knows what it was tuned to? It was probably tuned way down, you know.
Right.
And I'd hit it, and I'd watch the string vibrate.
Yeah.
You know, and I'd lay
the way
on the
only
ground.
a kid could.
Boom.
You
Yeah,
know?
right.
Like
I was lost in
the
it.
kid thing.
Focused.
You know?
I'm 4.
It's like they're like sitting there looking at the vibration.
Right.
Freak. Like probably like somebody like an adult would be like if they were tripping.
Yep.
Right.
Because kids are tripping.
Because kids are tripping.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I think you trip until you're about 7.
Yeah, and then you wake up.
Then you wake up.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm laying
Then
there.
it's the whole rest of your life trying to get back there.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I'm watching that string vibrate. And at some point, I realized that the vibration made the sound.
Oh, okay.
My little brain
Connected
that. And man, the whole physical universe slammed into place. You know, like you say, we're tripping when we're little.
Yeah.
I'm a little baby. I'm just rolling along, and the world is just this ball of color and light.
Yeah.
And then I realized the string vibrates, and like, oh, buildings have edges, and the sky is higher than the building.
Right.
And that airplane up in the air is way higher than the building.
Yeah.
And, you know, like all that came into focus for me.
That's interesting.
So then
Kind of like a universal tone waking you up.
It was weird,
You were striking.
It's kind of trippy, but
It
that's
is
what
trippy.
happened, yeah.
Yeah, it's like the guitar chose you.
Maybe. It did.
Yeah.
So then I just, at some point I learned how to, you know, tune it and get strings and stuff. I would get the little book, you know, the Mel Bay book. And when I was 7, I actually then knew how to play some chords.
Already.
That kind of stuff, you know.
Those are still my best chords.
C, F, and G. You can't miss, man. 1, 4, 5.
Don't give it away.
How many songs, huh?
Right.
With those 3 chords.
Throw in an A minor.
Throw in an A minor.
Just to
and
jazz it up.
Now you can play every song.
Yeah.
But when I was 7, this woman, my Uncle George, his girlfriend, they came by and she looks at me sitting out there, and she must have been like a rich lady. I think it was like she was like a married lady that he was having this little affair with,
little
you know.
On the
she
side.
she was from New York City, and we lived out in the country in Pennsylvania. But a lot of people from the city would come in the summer for vacation.
Yeah.
In the area where we grew up in the Poconos.
Right.
So she sees me there, and she goes, "Oh, you want a real guitar? You can actually play a little bit. You want a real guitar?" I'm 7. What am I going to say? Yeah, I want a real guitar.
Yeah.
Of course. A couple days later, she shows up with a little Martin, Martin 0017, and even better, like a 14-year-old Irish girl that really knew how to play.
Holy shit.
So now not only am
you struck gold.
Plus I got this beautiful Irish girl to look at.
That's what I mean about the gold.
Yeah, that's what you mean about the gold.
The other thing
I mean, classic. Red hair, freckles.
Wow.
You know, the milk whites. Oh, man. So she shows me how to finger pick. I didn't know that you could finger pick. She shows me to go.
Wow.
You know, that you could do that. She called it Travis picking, Merle Travis. You know, and she taught me the song. Step, step, we gaily on we go, heel for heel and toe for toe, arm in on we go, off of Mari's wedding. Mari's Wedding, which is, you know, just a traditional Irish number. Eventually, Van Morrison once finally did a recording of that with the Chieftains, and I was so knocked out because that was that song I learned from that girl. I don't remember the girl's name, but I remember that. So I remember the song that she taught me.
And then so you just kept going from there.
Yeah, and I just kept playing. And by the time I was 11, and I was doing little gigs and bands and stuff. And my mom bought me a Telecaster, and
like those must have been sweet guitars, and like because probably not even that expensive at the time. But now, do you still have the Telecaster?
I have that Telecaster, and it turned out I was born January 27th, 1952, and this guitar is dated January 13th, 1952.
That's insane.
And we got it used, of course, for my 11th birthday in '63. It was $100.
So it's got to be worth like crazy.
Well, to me, of course, it's huge
invaluable,
value.
Yeah.
You know, and I played it on everything that I've ever done. I mean,
really,
with Bob, I used that guitar the whole time, just exclusively.
Your first guitar.
The first electric. Yeah.
Yeah. Your first.
Well, no, I had a Tysco before that.
Yeah.
Nice red Tysco, you know, with 3 pickups and lots of knobs and switches. But the Telecaster was a real, you know, professional grade instrument, and I was real lucky to get that.
Yeah, and hang on to it.
Yeah. I know, man. A
Through
lot of
all
other
the
ones.
trials and tribulations of this life.
Yes, and there were some trials and tribulations. They do come, but I always kept that one. I knew I had to keep that.
Yeah. So what sent you from Pennsylvania to New York? Is that what the trajectory was?
Well, it should have been
a straight shot.
It should have been, because by the time I was 15, I had found one other young guitar player guy. There were no guitar players when I was little. When I was like 10, 11 and stuff, there were no guitar
Yeah, can you imagine now, like, if you can go on your phone and learn from every professional that it's almost too many options now.
Professional. When I need to learn a song now, like if I'm doing some gig and they want to do some Beatles song or something, you know, I go on YouTube and there's a 15-year-old Czechoslovakian girl who is playing it better than I'll ever play.
Right. Like,
and she knows all the ins and outs.
Handstand with her feet.
Right.
I know.
And she'll say, now, when it gets to the third verse, that D minor chord, it's only 3 beats in the third verse. It's 4 beats in every other verse.
No, I know.
She's got it
I'm
down.
the same way, dude.
Yep.
That's where I learn from like 13-year-olds that are better than I'll ever be. But
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that stuff. But back then, it was. So anyway, by the time I was 15, which was 67, I had met this other young guitar player. He was a couple years older than me, who lived like 2 towns over, Minnesink Hills, the big town. Yeah, buddy. And we started coming into town to the city and going to the Fillmore East and seeing shows. I still have some.
Hendrix and all that shit. I
didn't see Hendrix.
But was that blowing your mind when he came out? Because you were like just right at the perfect age for that.
That summer of '67.
Yeah. Like,
in the spring, Sgt. Pepper comes out.
Right.
And in like July or August, Hendrix comes out. Are you experienced?
Yeah.
I remember the first time we heard Purple Haze. What?
Right.
What? We knew it was a guitar.
Yeah.
But it was not speaking a guitar language that we had ever heard.
Right.
Like a younger person now that wasn't around then can't imagine what that sounded like.
Yeah.
It was so brand new, so completely out of hand, different than anything that had ever happened. We literally couldn't tell what notes that. Not only that it was a weird series of notes, but the sound and the way he played it. There'd never been nothing like it. So yeah, that was a great time to be.
Yeah, I mean, it affected me in a huge way.
I bet.
And you know, even growing up in like the '80s. I mean, even then, still.
Yeah.
So the impact of that was still resonating to a huge degree.
It still resonates.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, the reach of that thing is like unbelievable.
What really gets me now is like you see these incredible young, like 8-year-old Japanese kid who can play the Randy Rhoads solo from an Ozzy Osbourne song.
Right.
You know, I can't play
Crazy
that.
Train, yeah.
Yeah, I couldn't sit down and play that.
Yeah.
I could figure out the notes maybe, but I'd never play it right. This kid plays it right. He's 8.
Yeah.
You know, a girl. There's like some young girl drummers
I've
that
seen,
are playing.
yeah.
Young, under 10, and they are playing these songs, and they're really playing them. Okay, so when I was a little kid, if you were lucky, maybe you heard a Chet Atkins record and got to start there. Like I did some work. You ever heard this guy Tommy Emmanuel, this Australian guitar player? He's the best guitar player there is. He really is. Nobody, as far as playing the instrument and still putting some soul into it. A lot of people have incredible technique, you know, but you don't hear any soul.
Right.
Man, Tommy Emmanuel, it's soulful and beautiful, and he can play every style. But anyway, so I got to start with very simple, you know.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Got to start somewhere. Today, if a kid wants to start playing guitar, they can start at Van Halen.
Right.
They can start at Jimi Hendrix.
Eruption, yeah.
They can start at Eruption.
Yeah.
Right? Or they can start at more recent. They can start at John 5. You know about that guy?
Oh, fuck
You know
yeah.
that
I
guy?
follow him on Instagram, dude.
Damn.
He's fun.
Damn. I'll tell you a funny story about him. Man.
He's fun.
He can play.
He seems like a nice guy, too.
And you know, he's Canadian. He first played with what's that woman's name? Constant Craving.
Just look it up.
He started out playing with her, and he's a great country player, John 5.
Right.
Country.
Oh, right. Yeah, he can do
Like,
everything.
Incredible. So I'll tell you a funny story. I did this. I've always played a Telecaster since I'm little, right? So at some point, Fender made for a little while a G.E. Smith
G.E.
Telecaster.
Smith.
Oh,
Telly.
Katie Lang, of course.
Katie
Katie
Lang,
Lang, right.
Katie Lang. I think
Knew
he
it.
came out of her band from Western Canada.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah. And now, you know, he's done all this stuff with like Marilyn Manson and Rob Zombie.
And Rob
stuff.
Zombie,
Yeah.
and he wears the masks.
Yeah.
He's a cartoon character.
incredible.
Yeah, he's awesome.
So anyway, Fender's making this GE guitar, and I go to a convention out in California, some kind of music convention where Fender's putting on all these acts.
You're talking about NAMM.
It wasn't NAMM. This was a Fender thing.
Oh, really?
But
Just
but
straight
a lot
up
of people
Fender.
were there, and I got to play with Billy Gibbons and James Burton, who's this fantastic, played with Elvis Presley and Ricky Nelson. It's just an unbelievable guitar player. But anyway, John 5's at this thing. And he got his girlfriend with him at the time. They dressed exactly the same. They had their hair done exactly the same, and they were wearing the same makeup. You couldn't tell them apart from the front or the back.
That's funny.
I remember looking, the two of them were standing, I'm looking at them from the back, and you couldn't tell which one was which. I mean, they did it obviously as a mindfuck thing
Right.
with people, you know.
Yeah.
It was great. But
That's
I got to talk to him a little bit there and a couple other places, and I've watched a bunch of his videos on YouTube. He's great.
Yeah.
But you can start there. That's what I'm saying. If you're a little kid, you can start with John 5 and learn.
So it'll be interesting to see how the guitar evolves from here. But I feel like, in a way, we had an advantage in that, okay, less resources to learn from immediately, but also far less distractions. I mean, when we were growing up, that shit was the only game in town.
Right.
So the focus, and then also the rock and roll dream that you could actually take that to the moon and back, and you could. I feel like those two elements are less now for people. Like, that is so not the only game in town. There's a world of distractions that are good and hard to get away from. I'm even seeing that just in my life now. I remember I used to have better focus on writing songs a few years ago than I do now, because now I'm on YouTube all the time, and it's so, and then also it's under the guise of like self-help, because it can be positive shit that I'm looking at, and like, but still I'm realizing, hey, this is a distraction, all this shit. I'm just not focusing on writing songs, because when songwriting used to be the only game in town.
Right.
So I feel like, in a way, it'll be interesting, because there's going to be some people that can focus through all the noise, but I feel like those will be very rare. I don't know.
The digital world changed everything.
Yeah, and plus, once virtual reality kicks in,
Right.
I mean, it's going to be insane.
Right. I mean, like the thing that you kind of pioneered of doing the
Looping.
looping.
Yeah.
there were people doing looping. I knew guitar players.
Jaco Pastorius.
Jaco was doing it. Guitar players were doing it.
Yeah, but nobody was doing it as singer-songwriters.
Service of the song.
Yeah.
You were the first guy to do it in services.
That's
I always wondered, did you ever meet that Bon Iver guy?
Who? Oh, Boniver?
Is that how he says it?
Oh, I don't know. I never met him.
Okay. Because he must have had your records.
Oh, thank you.
I mean, no doubt. Listen to his records are wonderful.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm a fan.
But definitely.
Yeah.
You know, I respect him a lot. But you did it well before.
Thank you.
And you pioneered that thing of using that lush sound that looping can create, that lush otherworldly kind of sound, which is created digitally, right? But in service of good songs.
In service of the song first.
And that was a very cool thing.
Yeah.
Like I listen now to like Billie Eilish and FKA Twigs. Have you heard that record, that Magdalene record?
I haven't heard that yet.
Listen to this record, man.
I'm going to check it out.
The way that they put those songs together, and it's completely digital.
Right.
You know, I don't know if there's a guitar on it.
Right.
But it's amazing. You know, they're using this stuff, technology, that word. They're using the stuff and doing something with it.
Yeah.
You know, both Billie Eilish and her brother, whatever his name is.
Yeah.
They recorded all the stuff in his bedroom.
On a laptop, probably.
Yeah. You don't even need a studio anymore. A couple good mics and a laptop, and you're running.
That's pretty much it.
That's great.
Yeah, and that is great.
Yeah.
It is weird. It's weird. It's like, I don't know. I'm getting into this thing where I'm trying to refocus myself more again, you know, and I'm getting there. But I have to be very disciplined in order to do that, you know, like I got to do yoga. I got to go. I did yoga and went on a run today before this.
Really?
You know?
Yeah.
Just to get. I gotta go hard, lean hard into positivity, or I'll go hard the other way. You know,
I hear that.
You know what I mean? Like I gotta try. I gotta angle my ship towards the light, and I gotta try.
Hey man, what does it say in Stairway to Heaven? There are two paths you can go by.
Yeah,
that's what they were talking about. I think. Yeah.
Did you ever get to play with Jimmy Page?
I never got to play with him.
He never showed up at Saturday Night Live.
No.
What is in your pocket there?
Oh man, these are these little
cigars.
Cheap ass cigars. Yeah.
Can I smoke one?
Yeah. We'll probably get arrested if we smoke them in here, but yeah.
There's nobody here. Are there? How many do you have?
Oh, I got a few. Don't worry about that.
Do you have a light?
Make sure I do. I wouldn't carry these around without.
Let's both smoke one.
So, these are from Scranton, Pennsylvania.
These are amazing.
From the home of fine tobacco.
Let me see a light.
From the Avanti Cigar Company. And the Avanti Cigar Company makes this exact same cigar in. Well, they used to do. Now I think they're down to 2 boxes, but they just used to do it in 3 different boxes. Right? There were the Perotti in this kind of red and green box, the Denobili, which I smoke here.
I love the Denobili.
Right. Look at that. Look at that package, right?
That looks from the 50s.
Right?
Yeah.
And the other one was a Toscanello. Different boxes, exact same cigar in each box, but the
package different.
The story that was told to me was that if you were from Rome, you had to smoke with the Perotti. If you were from Naples, you had to smoke the Denobili, and if you were from Tuscany, you had to smoke the Toscanello.
I love rules like that.
Right?
I just love shit
Scranton,
people make
man,
up.
Scranton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, the nicotine still has a major pull on this guy, but I don't smoke the regular cigarettes at least.
No, regular cigarettes are terrible for you.
Nah, I don't do that.
Now, light it light the cigar. Don't draw it so much. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to get it too dark at the beginning. There you go.
Got it?
You got it.
You're not supposed to inhale, but I always do.
You can inhale these?
Don't you inhale?
You a man if you can inhale these. I tell you what.
You don't inhale?
No, I don't inhale them. Well, back when I was playing with Daryl and John, there were...
I can't help but inhale it.
People started, like the big cigar thing started. Like it was cool starting to smoke cigars. Because I never smoked. I never smoked cigarettes or nothing, And we were in Thailand, in Bangkok. And the promoter took us out to lunch in this. Thailand grew up a series of villages, got bigger and bigger, kind of circular, like concentric rings, and they joined, and that's how Bangkok got formed. There's all these different villages, right? So as you go to these different neighborhoods that grew out of these villages, there's a different vibe. There's different foods and different things. Yeah. So this guy took us out to lunch in his place. We have this great lunch outside, you know, tropical, wonderful smells and incredible food and stuff. After dinner, after the lunch, he comes with these Cuban cigars. Here, you know, have a cigar. And I'm like, I don't smoke. And then the guys go, well, try one, man. You know, so okay, so I tried it, and I liked it. So after that, I started smoking cigars. When I was a little kid, there was a tiny little 2-block area of my hometown, Stroudsburg, Pennsylvania, the Italian section. There were there was an Italian market there, Matty-O Dave. There was a little pool hall. Guy used to sit out in front and play the mandolin and eat pistachio nuts, you know. And there was an old man that they called Papa Noons that would walk around, and he would smoke, well, actually he would just chew on these little cigars. And I'd see him walking down the street with the cigar shaking up and down, you know. And I'd see that, I'd see the package, right? It was the red and green one. It was the Perotti. Okay, so I started smoking cigars in the 80s and going along. So one day, people were giving us Cubans and stuff because it was a, you know, Daryl and John successful band and stuff. People, the more successful you get, the more stuff people give you. You ever notice that? The more funny? Free shit you get.
I know. It's so
funny.
Weird.
But man, when you're down and out and you could really use anything.
Giving you anything.
Nothing.
Man. That's the way this world works.
Give you some shit.
Nobody knows you when you're down and out.
No, they do not.
It is true.
I can verify
so anyway,
that.
I run out of cigars one day. I was living down on a street called Center Market Place. It's a 1-block street just west of like Mott Street. Little 1-block street down there in Little Italy. And so I go out to get some cigars, and I go in the store, and I see the little red and green box. And I go, oh, man, that's from Papa Noons when I was a little kid. So I get it, and I bring it home. And then one day, let me try one of those. I tried it, and I loved it, and that's it. That's all I've smoked since then, since the 80s.
And you just
these.
Always done it.
Avanti Cigar Company, Scranton, PA, the home of fine tobacco.
That's funny.
That's a good ad for them.
Yeah, well, there it is.
Maybe
they'll sponsor us.
Yeah.
So how did you get the Saturday Night Live gig?
Well,
because you were already Daryl Hall.
Right, I was doing Daryl and John, but fortunately, they stopped. You know, we had been hitting it hard for 6 years. We'd been making records on the road. So we had been working 11 months a year for 6 years. Easy for me, guy in the band. All I got to do is the shows, right? They got to do the shows and press. And, right, the radio appearances and all that stuff. They were tired, man, and I don't blame them. You know?
They needed a break.
So they're going to stop. And in 85, spring into the summer, we did the first Farm Aid show. We did the We Are the World. Remember that? We Are the World.
Yeah,
we did that recording. I was there, man.
All that shit landed on me right when I was a teenager, dude.
Right.
Like this is all my legendary shit.
Right.
You on Saturday Night Live. I mean, I watched that every week, dude. I saw you. I was like, who's that guy?
What's wrong with that guy?
Nah, man. Who's that cool guy? That was it.
It's funny. You do see him on every fucking stage. When somebody knows your face, you will pop up everywhere.
It's funny. The other night, I saw a video on YouTube of me and Dylan, just the two of us doing the acoustic set thing, like back in 90 or something, you know, somewhere in Europe, I think it was. And I started reading the comments, which I try to never do. Never read comments, right?
I never do.
But I started looking at the comments just to see what they were saying about the song and stuff. And then I got down to one, and some guy says, "Who's that guitar player?" And then it goes down a little bit, and some guy says, "That's Stephen Stills." I'm like, yes, yes, they think I'm somebody else. I love it.
Oh, man.
For a long time on my Wikipedia page, there were a lot of mistakes. And I left them in. I loved it that there was mistakes.
Yeah.
You know, like wrong, just wrong stuff.
Straight up wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they said I was in Jersey Boys, that Broadway show.
Uh-huh.
I never even saw it. I'm sure it was great, but I never even saw it. But they said I was in it. Great.
That's funny.
I'll take it.
Yeah. Pump up the mythology.
Right?
Yeah. So, but how did you get the Saturday Night Live
Oh,
gig?
the Saturday Night Live gig. So, back there in the late 70s, I told you I did that Desmond Child and Rouge gig, right?
Uh-huh.
Now, Rouge were these 3 girls,
Yeah.
these great singers. And they, that summer 78, got a gig. Gilda Radner, who was one of the original Saturday Night Live cast. Saturday Night Live started in 75.
Did you have a relationship with her?
We were married.
You were married, right?
We were.
Yeah.
So anyway, the Rouge Girls got the job as the singers and I guess dancers too in her one-woman Broadway show that she was just going to do that summer of 78. And they were putting a band together, a pit band, you know, that would have been like half sort of a Broadway band, horns and stuff, and half kind of a rock band, you know, guitar player, keyboard player, bass player, drummer. And the girls recommended me to come in and audition. So I showed up and I auditioned and I got that gig.
Yeah.
And met Gilda and we had this like relationship and wound up getting married. And so we should have never got married. We should have just stayed friends, you know. It was kind of like that. But we had a nice time together. We never got mad at each other and stuff, you know, and it was time to be over. It was just over and it was fine. So then I knew everybody because I'd been around Saturday Night Live. And I know Lorne Michaels from Gilda. I know all those people. So that's how I wound up getting
Hal
the gig.
Wilner's the
Wilner
music-
came on somewhere in there when I was there.
You were there. And you were like instantly the band
That's
leader.
right. You did that pirate record with Wilner,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Yeah.
The sea shanties.
Sea Shanties, yeah.
Yeah, and I did a Doc Pomus tribute
Did you?
in Brooklyn.
I knew Doc a little
with him
bit.
and Lou. Oh, you did? You
Yeah.
knew Doc?
Yeah.
Wow. Did you know Lou?
Reed?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
I
I
knew
figured so. Did you play with Lou?
Oh, at that Bob Dylan show.
Yeah.
And I always wanted to be in his band, but it just never.
But you guys knew each other.
We knew each other from around. you
Yeah.
know. Yeah. I used to sit with him at the however you say that, the Pain Quotidienne, the Pan Quotidienne, you know those places? Yeah.
Yeah.
At the one at the corner of Perry Street and Hudson.
Yeah.
We used to sit there and talk sometimes. And
Yeah, he liked to go there a lot.
fantastic guy.
Yeah, I
Smart
agree.
guy.
I loved Lou.
Man, huge influence on me.
Me too.
That first Velvet Underground record, you know. When I was like 13, I was doing
That's another one with the out of tuneness that's
But it's
appealing.
classic.
That's beautiful. Makes it more
his
beautiful.
guitar playing on that record is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the viola is out of tune with
Yeah.
the guitar.
Yeah.
And it really rubs, but it's
Like,
great.
Yeah.
Like on Heroin.
Like Venus and Furs.
Venus and
too.
Furs,
It's like
you know?
amazing, the bendiness of it.
Great stuff. That's it.
Yeah.
Shiny, shiny, shiny boots of leather. Whiplash girl child in the dark. What a song. You don't write them like that anymore, man.
No, but there's like a novel called Venus and
Yes.
Furs, right?
Yes.
And he was just approaching it like a novelist, you know.
Yeah, he was very. Remember that one song he did, "The Gift"? It was a short story.
Yeah, it's a short story.
Yeah.
Yeah. He was just very literary.
Very literary.
He got music, rock and roll writing out of the ghetto of love songs.
Yeah,
basically.
man. Yeah, he came out of that kind of Doc Pomus tradition of songwriting.
Yeah,
You know.
yeah, brill building
Were
type.
you at Doc Pomus's funeral?
No, I was
St.
not at
Anne's?
Doc's funeral.
Oh, okay.
I was not at Doc's funeral. Were you?
No, Jimmy Vivino, we had him
Right.
on, and he told the story where Lou came up at that funeral
Yeah.
and complained about something, and then
Sounds right.
so Doc wouldn't want to hear the oompa 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 or whatever it was.
I live in Amagansett, you know, out on Long Island, and Lou and Laurie Anderson had a house there, you know.
Right.
And I'd see Lou out there sometimes, so
Yeah.
that was very different.
Yeah.
Seeing him there, you know. In fact, I saw him like, believe it or not, in a kayak one day. You don't think about Lou Reed in a kayak.
No, he invited me up there a couple times, and I never went. And it's one of the biggest regrets in my life that I didn't go. It was like too busy or some shit, or like, you know, but you take people for granted, even when they're Lou Reed. You know, you just do in life.
Yeah.
You know, you think people are going to be there forever, or you think it's hard to get your head around the fact that this is all just passing us by.
Man,
it's
just a dream. It is.
It is. It's just a dream.
Yep.
And living in the moment.
My daughter's been doing all this research for school about Vincent van Gogh, and she just actually wrote a little book about him. So we've traveled around in the past few years. We went to
and stuff.
Amsterdam, Bruges, London. We just did a trip to London and Paris. We went to Ghent, this town in Belgium, to see.
I've been there.
See some. You been to Ghent?
Yeah, I've been. I mean, touring Europe. You know, Belgium, it's a big one.
Belgium's great.
Yeah,
I love
Brussels
Belgium.
and all that.
I really like Antwerp. My favorite European city. Mm-hmm. That's an amazing city.
Yeah.
Cafe life. They got it big time. But anyway, we were looking at all these paintings, and I really started getting that sense of just the time passing by, and like I'm on. You can't see this on the radio, but I'm on I got the boot on. I just sprained my ankle. I fell off a ladder. I was up on a ladder, and then I wasn't up on the ladder.
Well, that's the way that happens.
Man, and the ladder didn't even fall down.
No, oh, really? You just fell.
I don't even know what happened. I was about 15 feet up.
Blacked out.
In the basement. And all of a sudden I was flying through the air. And that cliche of people say time slows down. Oh, yeah. Time does slow down.
It does slow down.
I had time in the air to think about what was going on. Yeah. And I turned myself so I wouldn't land on my hands.
Mm-hmm. Good call.
Yeah, but man, I hurt my foot.
Yeah.
I mean, it's going to be fine, But
thank God it was just that.
It could have been way worse. Yeah. Could have been way worse. Cool shoes, man. What are those?
Those are my barefoot running shoes.
Those are great.
I've been getting into this barefoot running.
Yeah.
Well, the concept is like your feet are incredible technology.
Right.
And the running shoes, like the padded ones, basically take out your feet. And so you end up heel striking more and delivering shock to your knees and your hips more. So it's actually counterintuitively more dangerous. Is what the theory is. I'm still breaking into barefoot running, so I'm the verdict's still out for me. But I went on a run today in these, and you just run more gazelle-like, and it's basically like just kind of makes running more interesting too.
Really?
Yeah, because the brain arose to facilitate movement. That's what some biologist told me.
Kind of makes sense.
And yeah, because only organisms that move have brains, like plants and stuff don't have brain. And they
don't need a brain because they don't have to move.
Yeah. They don't have to move. So there's an organism in the sea that even does have a brain in the early part of its life when it's moving, and then it attaches to a certain rock or something, and that's where it's going to be forever. And it digests it, it digests its whole nervous system. It digests its brain, basically. It gets rid of the brain once it doesn't need to move anymore. So when you think of it like, okay, the whole purpose of your brain is to facilitate movement, you get your best ideas when you're running, or when you're in yoga, or when you're, even guitar playing. It's all movement.
I get ideas when I'm walking. I like to walk far.
Yeah, you go on long New York walks.
And you think of stuff.
You think it's like inspirations pop in.
That's great.
Yeah. Like when he told me that, it blew my mind. I was like, it made sense because I was getting into boxing and all these things. And there's still this part of you that goes, oh, you're kind of like, like if you're into exercise, there's something like, oh, that's like kind of superficial, or you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Anti-intellectual, or like
no, but it's not.
But it's the opposite.
All.
It's the opposite.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I was thinking about like the barefoot running, the great African runners,
right?
The
There's
Jamaican guys.
that book of the Mexican tribe.
Guys. They start out running barefoot. Oh yeah, the Mexicans.
Did
you see that little?
Born to Run is the name of the book.
Did you see the thing on Netflix about the woman who's the champion down there in what do they call that? Down below Mexico, the
Gulf.
No, the part going down to South America, the land. Anyway, this woman is like the champ runner. She runs 64 miles.
Yeah.
Barefoot.
She does it barefoot?
Barefoot, man. She's always run barefoot.
Yeah, it's you would think it would be more prone to injury, but the idea is that it's not.
It's not.
You have to build it up. You have to build up these different muscles. But also just in yoga with balancing, once I started walking around and running around in these kind of shoes, all my balancing postures was better because my feet, like all these little tiny muscles start developing, and then you can kind of like, I don't know. It's kind of fun.
They'd be great for stage too. I like real, flat, real.
I
loose.
wore these. I did 2 shows at City Vineyard, January 1st and 2nd this year, and I wore these. And they were great for the pedals and for because I also have a stomp board, so it kind of like makes that kind of a little bit more sensitive.
Right.
You know, like you can feel everything.
Have you ever carried a band, or you always do the one man thing? You have?
No, I have.
Okay.
I have. Yeah, and I got a band going with Peter Buck called Arthur Buck.
Really?
Yeah, and that's like a rock and roll outfit.
Oh, that's great. Tell him I said hi.
I will.
I know him from Saturday Night Live. You know.
Did they? Oh, when they came on?
They were on several times. Yeah.
Yeah.
Great guy.
So, do you got any good Saturday Night Live stories?
I'm sure I do. But wait, while I'm thinking of it, I got to ask you something.
Okay.
In your song, "Run Away Tonight to the Shores of Freedom."
Oh, Honey in the Moon.
Honey in the Moon. To the Shores of Freedom.
Yeah, where no one lives.
It is where no one lives.
Yeah.
That's the right lyric.
Yeah.
That's so great, man.
Thank you.
That's so well, you're a real optimist, aren't you? Yeah. Freedom where no one lives. Yeah, I get it. All right, anyway.
Well, you gotta mix the light and the dark.
You do the light and the dark.
You know, it can't be
two
all
paths you can go by.
Yeah. Exactly. But yeah. I appreciate you knowing my work, man. I'm very.
How could you not?
I'm very honored.
I try to pay attention to the good stuff.
Yeah, I appreciate.
No, Taylor.
That.
When your very first record came out, my wife Taylor heard that record, and she got it, the CD, and she's like, "Listen to this. Listen to these songs, and the sound."
Right.
You know, like I said, you were the first guy to do that.
Yeah.
Songs with that, and it's great. It's great. I watched a video of you the other night. Where you do it, you do the thing. You've got a kind of like a acoustic little Telecaster with paint on it and stuff, and you
the
build
Acoustasonic.
The
Fender Acoustasonic.
You build up the thing. You show it on the video.
What we shot at Coney Island, baby.
Sounds like it.
What's the song?
Black and White.
Might be
the video that you saw. Yeah, we filmed.
We filmed like
stuff.
5 songs, so it could be any one of those.
It's really cool because it shows you building up the thing. And then you start singing it. And the reverbs, you always were great with reverbs.
Thanks, man.
With your vocals,
the
backing vocals.
Yeah.
And those backing vocals that you do that are kind of full voice whispers.
Yeah.
Barely tonally in line with the song, but they are. But it gives it that like ominous thing against maybe a light, very major key.
Yeah.
Musical thing that's happening, a very major key melody that you're singing, then you put this ominosity in with it, with those backing vocals and the reverbs. I love it.
Oh, thanks,
Very
man.
cool way to put records together.
Thank you.
Were you at all a Chris Whitley fan? Did you know Chris?
I got to meet him. I'm a fan, yeah. And my friend Kenny recorded, like, I think his last album up at Old Soul in Catskill.
I liked Chris's. I liked Chris. I knew him from Carmine Street, from the guitar shop there, Rick Kelly's place. And a few times I met him in there, and then we would go for walks, and just talk about stuff. Not music, just stuff. Yeah. And he was a deep guy. And
his daughter is like a superstar.
She's good, man.
Yeah, she's real good.
Real good.
Trixie Whitley, right?
Is it? Yeah, she's really good. But the biggest record he had was that Big Sky Country, which of course he said he hated.
Oh, did he?
That produced version of it.
Yeah.
Which made it palatable for radio.
Right.
You still hear it on the radio all the time. I just heard your song the other day. There's a radio station out at the end of Long Island, WPPB.
Oh, okay.
And they play your stuff all the time.
Oh, that's nice.
Shout out WPPV.
Yeah, I'm
WPPV.
putting together a new record right now. I just made a SoundCloud of 20 songs that I sent to my manager to help me weed through them, and then I'm gonna get onto a writing kick this week.
Great.
Write a few more. I think it's good to wake up and try to do let me just get a song recorded today. Let me write and record a song today, and get up and get that morning energy onto it.
That is good.
That
is good.
You gotta discipline yourself nowadays, man. There's too many distractions.
I have a record that will be coming out this year. We got a deal with BMG.
Nice.
And I've always been looking for a singer. I've been looking for 30 years for the right singer.
Yeah.
And again, Taylor, my wife, I got to give her all the credit. She found this guy, Leroy Bell. His name is. He's from Seattle. Mm-hmm. And he's been putting out CDs.
It's a good name.
Yeah, great name.
Yeah.
Great name. Leroy Bell. And he writes real good songs. And so we've recorded a record of stuff. And
stuff you wrote or you wrote together?
We wrote some together, and there's one of my songs on there. I wrote a song called Heartsick. Mm-hmm. It won't get better.
Yeah. You want to play it?
Yeah, sure. I can play Heartsick.
Okay.
It's silly. Very props to Lou Reed, Deb, you'll hear it. You'll hear it. Well, art's sick, it won't get better. You could hang it on the wall, or you can put it in a plane and fly it all around the world. Yeah, all around the world. Art's sick, it won't recover. A disheartening prognosis saddens every true art lover. All around the world, yeah, all around the world. Where did Vincent van Gogh? I see art in the museum in yellow, green, and blue, but I don't see too much happening after 1962. Art's sick. Don't call it doctor. We need an artist to emerge with new ideas to unlock and fly us all around the world, yeah, all around the world. All around the world, yeah, all around the world. All around the world, yeah, all around the world. All around the world, yeah, all around the world. And so on.
That's great.
Thank you, man.
I love it.
Thank you.
I love your voice, too.
Thanks. You hear the Lou thing.
Oh, yeah. It's got
right?
some Lou influence,
Lou,
for sure.
Bowie. Yeah. Hey, did you see the David Byrne show that's up on 44th Street?
Not yet.
Man.
Is it killing?
It's killing. I was kind of strong-armed into going, because I don't like to go to stuff too much. It's hard for me to be in the audience after being on stage for so much.
Yeah.
It is astonishingly good.
What's that called?
I don't know. David Byrne. I'm sure it has some name, but I don't know what it is.
On Broadway kind of thing?
Yeah, kind of thing. Man, it's so good. He's got a 12-piece. I hesitate to even call it a band. He's got 11 other people
performers
up there with him. There's no sit-down drummer.
Mm-hmm.
There's 7 percussionists.
Mm-hmm.
Then also a bass player.
American Utopia.
There you go.
Okay.
And it's so good. I mean, I always really respected David. I used to see Talking Heads there in the late 70s, when around the time probably that they recorded the first record. They were playing in places, downtown. And I saw them a few times, and it was interesting because that was a sort of a period of not trying to be a virtuoso.
Right.
On your instrument.
It was like the punk rock, the CBGBs.
It was that world, yeah. I didn't see him at CB's. I always have in my mind, there was a place right up the street from CB's called Great Gildersleeves. And I always have in my mind that I saw them there. And I don't know if that's right or if I'm like conflating different memories, you know, because there's a lot of, those were different times. But I always admire what he did. But anyway, that show is great. Great stuff. So anyway, we have this record that we've done, me and Leroy Bell. And his songs are nothing like that. He's got real songs, you know.
That's a real one.
Well, that's a frivolous little exercise.
And Lou would like that, I think.
And I feel bad though about that. I say that there hasn't been any good art since 1962.
Yeah.
It you know, it's scanned right. It phrased out right. So I use that number. I got a lot of painter friends.
I
man.
know. I'm a painter. You know. I took I took note of that.
I don't
line.
mean
like,
that.
Hey man, you gotta
I don't
see
mean
my stuff. No, but come on.
So anyway,
everybody gets it. That's fine.
We got this. I hope people take
Come on,
it
people
in the humorous spirit.
People know that it is.
That was one of those songs that I had that idea ever since the early '80s. Art's sick, it won't get better. I had that line, and I carried it around, and then we were in the studio. I was working on finishing up some. Our little band is called Stony Hill on BMG. Should be out in a couple months. The first song should come out in a couple months. I was in the studio and there was just some time left over, and I thought, boy, could I ever do anything with Art Sick? And I came up with those, which are those same old chords but different somehow.
Yeah,
there's something that's different about
that's
it.
That's a
right?
riff. Yeah, it sounds good.
And it in an hour.
Yeah.
It was done.
Best songs are like that.
It just came out of the blue. Do you ever hear Townes Van Zandt, the Texas guy?
Fuck yeah, dude.
You know that song Poncho and Lefty? Right?
Yeah.
Living on the road, my friend. Supposed to keep you free and clean, but now you wear your skin like iron and your breath's as hard as kerosene. You know, what a great song that is, right? I saw this interview with him once. They said, well, Townes, how did you write Poncho and Lefty? He said, well, I was walking down the road, and I was walking past a cemetery, and that song flew out of the cemetery and hit me in the head.
That's funny.
That is funny.
I know what he means.
Yeah.
But,
what's the album called?
The album, the Stony Hill, it's just called Stony Hill.
Stony Hill.
Yeah, Stony Hill.
Are you guys going to tour?
Are we going to tour? Yes, we are. We're going to tour as much as they let us. But there's some really good songs on this
record. Your
record.
fourth solo album, or was there?
Well, this is a band.
It's a band. It's not a solo album.
Not a solo album.
No, I've done
3 solos.
Have I? I don't even know.
That's
I was forced to do all of them.
If your Wikipedia page is right, Paul Simon sang backup vocals on your.
Paul
first
Simon
album.
did sing on one of the songs. I got to be friendly with Paul when I was in that, Lorne Michaels Saturday Night Live people world. Lorne and Paul have been great friends for a long time.
What was that like being in that world?
It was wonderful, but I always thought like the usurper, like the drifter at the party.
You did?
Yeah.
You didn't come off like that. You look like the ringleader of the party.
No, not at all, man. Not at all. I don't know. You must know that feeling like you always think everybody
Imposter syndrome.
You always think everybody else is cooler than you.
Yeah.
And I always love, there's a Dylan song, The Wicked Messenger.
Mm-hmm.
While everybody knelt to pray, the drifter did escape.
I
was like, that's me, yeah.
Yeah. That's a great line.
Oh, man. He's got so many great lines. There was a woman who used to come to the shows, and she would be like corral me outside, getting on the bus and stuff, and ask me questions, and I'd always say, I don't know what the lyrics mean. I didn't write the song, just because I'm in the band doesn't mean I know what the man meant, But she was writing a book about people's favorite Bob Dylan lines, and it's like impossible. Which one do you pick? There's hundreds of them that are so great.
I got this new one I'm working on called To the Contenders. This one goes out to the contenders.
I like it.
Right?
Yeah.
Isn't that good?
Yeah.
Yeah. Past the great walls and the great pretenders.
Great.
Something along those lines. I don't know. But I
Do
like
it,
the idea.
because so many people feel that
contenders,
way.
Yeah. This one goes out to the contenders.
The contenders.
Yeah.
Did you ever actually have conversations with Dylan where you would ask him about? Did you like geek out ever and like, hey, what did you mean?
I geeked out more about guitars he had played and stuff. I didn't want to bother him about that, you know. I did have one great conversation with him one time on the bus about. I said, man, that must have been hard in the 60s when they like made you out as the savior of the Western world, you know. And he said something like, man, I just wrote some songs.
Yeah.
I just wrote some songs. That's what he said.
Yeah.
He wrote great songs.
Yeah.
But boy, people do put stuff. You know, I worked with Roger Waters for a few years. We did
you
the
went
Wall.
on the road with him, right?
Yeah, all over the world. Amazing. The travel was amazing.
Top notch.
Tour. I thought I had done, you know, big tours before, but the way the English guys do it is
next level.
Military precision backstage. You know, there was it was huge too. There was I think 177 people
on the crew
on the road.
That's insane.
Huge number of buses and semi trucks and stuff because it was a giant production, you know. But the places that we went, you know, we went to Romania and Bulgaria and, you know, the places where you don't always get to go with every band, you know. So that was really fun. But
were you playing the guitar solos too?
No, I was not. A great guitar player named Dave Kilminster was there, and his job was to do the Gilmore stuff. He had it perfect.
He did.
The tones.
It's about that reverb too. It's like that long reverb.
It's that long, several different reverbs at once. Long decays, short decays at the same time.
Right.
David Gilmour was brilliant at putting that stuff together.
What a sound.
I got to talk to Gilmour a couple times because he came and sat in, you know, and he said I would just go in and play blues solos.
Yeah, they are essentially blues solos.
They're essentially blues solos, like the great solo on Another Brick in the Wall, you know?
Yeah.
And he said, if you listen to that, he said, I'm just playing the blues.
Yeah.
And he said that when he did it, it was just the bass line. He just played over the bass line, the D minor. Need no hesitation.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
He said that's all he had was the bass line. And that later they put the synth chords on it and stuff. There's all these changes. But he just played against the bass line.
Yeah.
And he said if you really listen to the solo and listen to those changes, there's places where they grate against each other and it's wrong notes.
Yeah.
But it's so iconic now that I don't hear it as wrong notes. But that's what he told me. But anyway, the thing I was going to say is that Pink Floyd music, Bob's music, I guess Beatles music, you know.
Stones.
Some of the Stone stuff. Some people get it in their head that they wrote those songs for them.
Yeah.
There were a few guys that quit their jobs, sold their houses. One guy got divorced and followed the Wall tour all over the world.
This last one that you just did.
The one that I was on from 2010 to like 2000.
I mean, it was big to a lot of people.
Yeah, but quit your house.
Yeah.
I mean, quit your job, sell your house.
Quit your wife.
Get divorced.
That's too big.
Honey, I'm going out and following the wall.
Road. Yeah.
I'm going on the road for years. I don't know how long or where we're going. That's extreme, man. That's...
Yeah.
Was that
but people are drawn to music in this wild fucking way, man.
They are.
You know, and if you weren't drawn into it to the point where you make it, that fandom becomes almost an art form.
It started with the Beatles. It started with Beatlemania.
Yeah.
You know, that's where this thing started. I know that there were people that were huge Frank Sinatra fans, but it wasn't like this.
It wasn't like that.
This obsession with the lyric. And people they believe. There were people that believed Bob wrote just like a woman for them.
Right.
Because of them. Bob had never met them or knew anything about them.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I've encountered some of that. Like,
I bet you have.
Yeah, just if you write intensely personal things, you know, it hits people in an intensely personal way.
Yep.
And they can't fathom that they weren't involved somehow, you know, in that. But I mean, like, even the whole universe is like that. I mean, I walk around and I see, like, you know, recurring numbers and like, and I, and I, you know, I have the way I like denote it is, okay, this is not mental illness, is if there's a shadow of a doubt that, like, okay, if I think the universe is definitely communicating to me, I'm 100% about that. I feel like that kind of veers into maybe mental illness. But if you're like, maybe the universe is communicating to me, I feel like that's healthy. Because I think the universe is communicating to us. And in a myriad of ways, you know?
I'm glad you mentioned this.
Yeah.
My thing is, I call it seeing extra stuff.
Right. Okay.
I see extra stuff.
Yeah, like synchronicities. And a bus goes by with a fucking sign that's exactly answering a question you have in your head at that very moment, that type of thing.
Well, right? No, for me it's more like I see extra stuff. Like,
what's the extra stuff?
Well, like one time I was at the corner of 24th, like by Madison Park, 5th Avenue, 24th Street, and a guy came around the building and flicked his cigarette perfectly over into the garbage can. But when I looked at the guy, he had on like a bowler hat and stuff. He was from about 1890. He wasn't from 2011 or whatever year it was that this happened. I see stuff like that. I'm crazy. I know that I'm crazy, but I'm not so crazy that I try to interact with the stuff.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like what you were saying.
Yeah.
You know the universe is communicating with you.
Yeah.
But you don't then try to.
Yeah, I don't chase the rainbow.
Right.
Yeah, like I'm like, I leave like an element of like, maybe not. Maybe that's just that number again over and over and over again. But like, and I don't like what gives. But so when you see the guy with the cigarette from the 1800s, is there a guy there at all, or is there no guy for real?
Well, for me there was a guy, but no, there was no for real guy who flipped a cigarette into the garbage can.
Right.
No.
Interesting.
But I
how often do you see stuff?
It's random, not every day.
No.
It's random. Stuff will come, you know.
Yeah.
But I'm not so crazy that I try to interact with it.
Right.
I know I can tell the ones that are the stuff that I call it, the extra stuff. That's what I call it. The
spiritual plane.
It's always been there since I was a little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. When I was a little kid, if I like got in trouble, you know, and my mom said, "You just go in your room for 15 minutes and think about what you just did," you know. I'd go in my room and then
there'd be a party in there.
No, I'd leave.
Oh, you could actually.
I would go out, and there was a big pine tree on a hill where all the kids would meet and play. I'd go to the pine tree, but I'd still be in my room. If my mom came, I'd still be sitting there. You know, then at some point
That's
I realized...
That's called astral projection, right?
But I realized that it was impossible.
Well, I don't think it is impossible. I mean,
you know what I mean.
I do know what you mean.
Yeah.
But I think that's something called astral projection.
Yeah, I've read about that stuff. I don't know, man.
You know. I mean, do you believe in, like... Well, also, I wanted to ask you about the fact that you manifested, like, okay, you loved Bob Dylan. You manifested that whole reality that you wound up with Bob Dylan. Do you think about how your power of manifestation and all that kind of stuff?
I do believe that if you're a true believer in something, whatever it happens to be, like I'm a big vintage guitar guy.
Right.
Okay. Starting from back in the 60s when there were no vintage guitars, they were just used guitars. They weren't even that old, you know, back then. I have drawn into my immediate surroundings thousands of these vintage guitars, that are really rare.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, what a collection.
Here's a great story, man.
You must have.
Want to tell people where that warehouse is?
No, don't tell them. Guitar FOMO
I get
days.
rid of a lot of them too.
Yeah.
I don't, you know, there's not as many as there used to be. But when I was with Bob in 1989, we were in Louisiana, and dealers used to bring guitars, you know, to try to sell to Bob. And so the guy, and he had this really, really rare Gibson, one of the first Gibson acoustic guitars. It's from 1905. It's 18 inches. It's a great big thing. Very super rare. There's like 3 or 4 of them known, right? They're in the old catalogs, but they just didn't get sold or they didn't make it to the modern times, whatever. There's only 3 or 4 of them around. So I bought the guitar from the guy. Now, the guitar had been living in Louisiana. The back was separated from the humidity. It needed some work. It was playable, but ratty, not so good. But it was such a cool thing. So I got it. So it's on the bus for a while, and then we finally get back, and I'm here in the city, and I give it to a guy who's going to fix it for me.
Mm-hmm.
This is probably so I bought the guitar in 89. I probably gave the guy the guitar in 91, 92, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
A few years go by, and I'm thinking, I better call that dude about
where's
that guitar.
that guitar?
His phone's not working anymore.
Oh, no.
So, can't find it here.
It's only worth $500,000 or
No,
something.
it's valuable guitar, but
right.
not crazy.
Not
valuable.
crazy, okay.
Some of the electrics are crazy valuable.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'd give up. Eventually, I think, well, it's just one of those things. It's gone. You're never going to see that one again.
Mm-hmm.
That's happened before. I've loaned people guitars and never seen the guitar again several times. So, time goes by. In just this past year, 2019, in the spring, Taylor, is that you? Here, come on in here and sit down.
Hey, Taylor. Hi.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Taylor Barton, my wife.
Taylor Martin?
She has
Barton.
a
Barton.
microphone.
Taylor Barton. There you go. We
Joseph
got
Nice to
smoked
see
one
you,
of my
Joseph.
cigars.
I'm still
Perfect.
smoking it. Sorry about that. Is that
You're
okay?
looking good.
Thank you.
I haven't seen you since Boulder.
Oh.
I was at the same radio convention with you at Boulder when you blew everybody away with your first album.
Oh, okay. I remember that.
It's like, I don't know, maybe 20 years ago.
I wasn't there that
Yeah.
year, was I?
No.
Thank
But
you.
You were
Was that when you first
amazing.
heard him?
Yep.
And you brought the CD home?
That's where I first heard them, but
Yeah.
what I thought was so amazing was the DJs, which I myself was terrified to go to that thing
Yeah.
with 500 DJs. I'd rather jump out a window.
Yeah.
Were like, oh my God, this guy's so great. And I remember watching you in that the middle stage outside the hotel, and you were so good. And I was like, I came home and I said, I just saw this most amazing guy.
Was he playing alone?
Yeah, you
Yeah,
were
With
alone.
the loops.
And I think it wasn't Redemption Son, it was something else.
Come to where I'm from?
Yeah.
Yeah,
and-
with the one T-Bone Burnett produced.
Yep. and
T-Bone
I-
Burnett produced that?
Yeah.
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 I know T-Bone.
You
Yeah.
did?
So I told you, I was like, this guy's unbelievable.
Thank you.
So I was so excited when Broza said come.
Yeah.
Yeah, David Broza.
Oh, David Brothers?
Yes,
Okay.
that's
I
our buddy.
reached out to him.
Oh,
and
cool.
asked, yeah.
Oh, that's awesome.
He's a friend. He's been on the
You know
podcast.
Broza? Yeah.
Yeah, he's
I
awesome.
went to Israel with Broza.
I know, yeah.
And
Yeah.
as you probably know, you guys, in Israel, he's like a combination of Dylan and Springsteen
Yeah.
and Paul Simon.
He's
Yeah.
huge.
When he walks down the street in Tel Aviv, old ladies come out of their house with a plate of cookies. Broza, eat. For real.
Yeah.
For real, man. It's amazing.
He's been
Yeah.
around the block.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
That's
has that
funny.
Townsend connection, too.
Right?
The
Got the
Towns
Towns
Van
connection.
We produced that record.
We did that
G and
record.
I produced that record. For
Oh,
him.
you did?
Which I thought was a really good
It's
record.
an amazing story.
What's
How he came about that, because he got the lyrics that were in a shoebox,
right?
and then GE and I produced it.
And
The musical Taylor did the
I did the
heavy lifting part.
did you write some of the music with him?
No, David-
Towns wrote all the music.
No,
Oh,
no, Towns wrote the
wrote the
lyrics.
words.
David
Yeah,
wrote the
oh,
music.
the music. Oh, right.
The
David
mu-
wrote the music.
Yeah.
For anyone
That's-
curious, he tells the story on the podcast, whatever episode it is.
Yeah.
He goes into.
The-
He told us the whole how it took years
Yeah.
and crazy
Yeah.
story.
And then Steve Earle came out with Towns
Almost
record,
at the same time.
and they were both represented by Danny Goldberg. So it
was
was, interesting.
One of those head-to-head things. It was
We had
kinda
Goldberg on the podcast
Did ya?
too.
Love
Yeah,
him.
last week or something
Love
like
him.
that. Yeah,
He's
Great.
the best.
He's a great dude.
Yep, he
yeah,
is.
yeah. He managed me for a second,
Yeah.
and then we kind of parted ways, but stayed friends.
Yeah.
So it's one of those.
That's good.
It's good when you can stay
Yeah.
cool.
He's got a good ear.
Yeah, he
And
does.
he heard you too.
Yeah. So you're a producer as well.
I
Or
am.
How did you guys meet?
Saturday Night
We met
Live.
at Saturday
Oh,
Night
Saturday
Live.
Night Live.
Yeah.
And what were you doing on Saturday Night Live?
Dancing, singing, and anything they needed. I was basically trying to get my insurance money every weekend
Right.
for Union.
Yeah, health insurance and all
Yeah.
That
that.
after health insurance.
Yeah, I was not interested in any kind of comedian stuff. I just was basically a theater.
Yeah, you were a
girl.
dancer.
I was a dancer and a singer and a writer,
Mhm.
but I got on that show because my friend was the producer. So I would go on the weekends and see all the cool music every week, which was really inspiring. And then I met GE.
Yeah. The front man of
Yep.
the organization.
And
Yeah.
then the show went on strike, and he started his tour with Dylan. So that was like a major learning experience for me, because then we got together and I went on the road and watched
A bunch of shows.
And
Got to hang out with Bob.
well, I don't think people really hang out with Bob, but I got to learn a lot from Bob.
Yeah, what'd you learn?
Songwriting.
Oh, songwriting.
Great songwriting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think he is one of the best writers out there.
Yeah.
He performs them differently every single night.
Yeah, he's on fire lately, I guess. That's
Yeah.
that's the word on the street.
Yeah. I
And
heard
he's-
it. I heard his Beacon shows were amazing.
That's what I heard. I didn't
Yeah.
get to one, but
Me neither, not this year, but usually I try. So, anyway.
yeah.
We were playing at the Beacon when I was working with him. We did like 4 or 5 nights, you know. And I guess the last night, he says, the last song, whatever it was, he says, I'm going to play harmonica at the end. And I'm going to walk down off the stage. And no matter what I do, you guys keep playing. And you keep playing. Jeff, the manager, Jeff Kramer, he said, he'll give you the signal from the side of the stage when it's time to stop playing. But you keep playing no matter what I do. You keep playing, right? So he's got a wireless microphone. He never used a wireless microphone. Never. But so we get to the end of the song. He's playing harmonic. He's got the wireless mic. He walks down off the stage, and he's like walking up the side aisle. And all of a sudden, he pushes on one of the doors, and he goes outside onto Broadway.
Still
And
playing.
he's still playing. But at some point, you know, it's not picking up anymore. The radio signal's not getting through the walls of the
He
Beacon.
walked too far away.
Walked too far away. Well, come to find out, he went out and hailed a cab. Left.
He left.
And we just kept playing, and then I finally got to say, he must have like called Jeff on his phone, you know, okay, tell him to stop. You know.
That's unfucking believable.
What an exit.
Classic.
Like, what the hell?
Classic.
It's like,
Yeah, I
man, they
loved
don't
it.
make them like that
No.
anymore.
That's some showbiz.
That is showbiz right there. Yeah, I heard you talk about Saturday Night Live days where you said there was like the it was like a collegiate sort of atmosphere, like a college atmosphere.
That's what it felt like to
and
me.
there was like good, you know, like the troublemakers
Yes.
and the, you know, the teachers' pets and shit.
There were the
like
good
that.
kids, and there were the
And
troublemakers,
and
definitely.
you and Chris Farley were like part of
We were in the troublemaker
troublemakers.
room, definitely.
Yeah.
Farley was like I knew John Belushi too.
Right.
You know, I was
Yeah.
actually like pretty friendly with John. And John, people would say John would do anything
Yeah.
to get a laugh.
Yeah.
Farley would do anything.
Anything.
Anything beyond what I can talk about.
Right.
But
Yeah.
man, you'd laugh.
Yeah.
People would laugh. I never, just tears in your eyes laughing. You know.
Yeah.
He was. But he would go further than anybody. And a lot of those guys will go far.
Right.
Farley would. Amazing.
Yeah. That's cool.
Yeah.
And
Can
you-
we ask you a question?
Yeah, of course.
What was that in the
In the
song? I think of you
In the
yeah,
sun.
yeah,
I
that.
picture you in the
yeah,
sun.
Picture you in the
I
sun.
love that song.
Thank you.
Who was that about?
Oh.
Well, that was actually a young girl died of cancer from my hometown.
Yeah.
And I had found out about that, and that was just in my head.
It
And
was-
then so I like came up with that line. I picture you in the sun,
It's so
wondering
beautiful.
what went wrong.
Yeah.
And falling down on your knees,
It
asking
just-
for sympathy, and being caught in between what you wish for and what you've
Such
seen.
a smart
Trying to
song.
find anything you can feel that you can believe in. May God's love be with you.
Michael
Oh,
Stipe
Peter
said that was the
Gabriel
ultimate
covered that.
song.
Peter Gabriel covered it. Yeah, he put out his version before I put my version out on an Elton John tribute album.
So cool. And then the singer from Madonna's band, there's a beautiful, what's her name? Dorian, somebody. She was a backup singer for Madonna.
Mm-hmm.
Have you heard that version?
No.
Oh my God, I gotta send it to you.
Oh, send me that.
That's it, right?
Wonderful.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's killer,
He
man.
was about to sing.
Yeah. Yeah. Picture. Wondering what went wrong. Falling down on your knees, asking for sympathy, and being caught in between all you wish for and all you've seen, and trying to find anything you can feel that you can believe in. May God's love be with you always. May God's love be with you. I know I would apologize if I could see your eyes, 'cause when you showed me myself, you know, I became someone else. But I was caught in between all you wish for and all you need. I picture you fast asleep, a nightmare comes that you can't keep awake. May God's love be with you always. May God's love be with you. Oh. Yeah.
So gorgeous.
Yeah.
Donna DeLory. I'm gonna send it to you.
Okay. You want my? I'll give you my phone number or whatever. Yeah.
You'll love it.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you.
man.
Yeah.
Great stuff.
Thank you, man.
Is that the right key?
I don't even know. Because I capo it to the third fret.
Oh,
and play
okay.
it
So
with
that was way low.
Play it with cowboy
Sounded
chords.
good.
Right.
No, it sounded perfect. Like whatever.
So you're doing G minor.
Especially I've been smoking this, so my voice dropped.
Yeah.
So it sounded good. You know. Yeah. Yeah.
Great stuff.
But yeah, that line. I picture you fast asleep. A nightmare comes, but you can't keep awake. Like, I had originally made that, like, a nightmare comes that you can't keep away. And
Right.
Peter Gabriel, when he covered it, he thought I had obviously said a nightmare comes but you can't keep awake, which makes the line way better. And I was like, oh, you're right. That is way better. Well, it was like a give me from him, you
But
know.
it's such a gorgeous song, and like, look how many people covered it. 'Cause
Yeah.
It's such a smart song, and it's melodically gorgeous.
a good song.
Thank you.
And
It
it's
comes from the heart.
soulful.
Yeah.
It kills me. Like I have it on a playlist that I listen to
Yeah.
pretty much once a week for
Yep.
like the last 15 years. 'cause
Wow.
It makes me feel calm.
Oh, cool. That's so great to hear.
Yeah,
You
so
should
it's
look
a-
for the
it's an
Michael
important
Stipe
song.
version.
Thank you.
Oh, Stipe did it too, yeah?
Stipe with Chris Martin. A
Oh,
beautiful,
really?
beautiful
Yeah,
version.
great version. They did it for
Beautiful. I'll send it to
Katrina.
you
When
by email.
Katrina happened, they did it to help.
That must
with
be
that.
satisfying when people of that caliber, like Gabriel and Michael Stipe. and,
Yeah,
you know, when
Yeah.
they cover your song, that's great, man.
it is great. It is great, but it's probably a lot like you doing all that you've done. Like on some level, like people ask you about it, and it's great. But on some level, you must be sort of like almost like viewing yourself as a character. Like,
yeah.
you're kind of removed from it too. It's
Yes.
like it's so amazing.
Yo, I've watched that
But-
guy do all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For sure.
But there's part of you that can't take it on as you or something.
You know, in 1979, Peter Gabriel asked me to join his band when I had first started. The first tour that we did in England
That's
with
funny.
Daryl and John.
Yeah.
And Murata was in the band, Jerry Murata. And he had been playing with Peter.
Mm-hmm.
And he asked me to join the band, and I was torn, you know. But that would have been a whole different life. I would have had to move to England.
I would have
and-
liked that.
Yeah.
Let's get
That
out
was,
of here.
that was
Yeah.
years before I even met you, baby.
It's all right. I would
Yeah.
have showed up.
Yeah. You would have
Yeah.
manifested.
I would
You
have
would've-
manifested.
Yeah. That's interesting. So that was in when, 79?
79, I think, yeah.
So that was pre. Oh, so you were already with Daryl Hall and John.
I was with Daryl
Oates?
and John, yeah.
So how seriously?
79 or 80.
Yeah, that they were both headed for success.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Big.
But I think yeah, you probably made the right call. Sticking with Daryl Hall and John Oates. I don't know. No. I mean, I'm a huge Peter Gabriel fan too, so I'm not saying that.
I wanted to stay in town.
I'm just saying, like, you know,
I wanted to stay in town.
Yeah.
In New York City, I couldn't leave town. That was the feeling.
How much is New York City a part of you? Like, in terms of, did you ever think of moving to L.A. or anything like that, or you just
No.
love New York? You guys are very New York.
I'm a New York City guy, for sure. But I grew up in Pennsylvania, and I knew that I needed to come to New York.
Right.
But I was chicken, man. I didn't have the guts. So I went to Connecticut first. I went to the New Haven area and was up there.
That is chicken shit.
It is, man. It is.
Wow.
But I got in a good band up there.
Yeah.
Called the Scratch Band. And we played, I played with them for like 6.5 years. And we did every song that there was, just every kind. Because it was a power trio. It was like the Who, but instead of just having Roger Daltrey, we also had a woman who sang too. So we had this guy Bob Orsi and a stand-up female singer, this girl Chris Ullman, and the two singers plus the bass player was a good singer, could sing harmony, so they had like strong 3-part harmony,
like a Fleetwood Mac vibe,
but with the Who,
yeah,
but
behind them.
Fleetwood Who,
yeah, it was kind of like that. And I just, the other day I saw my calendar from 1975. We did 245 shows in Connecticut. Without leaving Connecticut.
That's crazy.
Yep. Because there used to be a huge bar band scene.
That's funny.
You know? And then 77, disco came along.
Mm-hmm.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Over.
Yeah. I heard you say that, like, that's what you brought to Saturday Night Live, like, good rock and roll.
Band.
Bar band rock and roll.
Definitely. Well, I'm a bar band guitar player.
Yeah.
That's where I come from.
Right.
Know? And, like when we were just playing your song, right?
Yeah.
So when we got to that second verse, I started
you
putting a little rhythm to it. It doesn't really go in it.
Yeah.
But.
No, it does, though. I wish it was there when we recorded it. You know?
The recording's fine.
It's beautiful.
Thank you. I have to ask you about the Cleveland Browns thing.
Right.
Because I'm,
Are you from Ohio?
I'm from Akron.
Oh, cool.
And I'm a big Cleveland Browns fan.
So are we.
Those poor old Browns.
Yeah.
We know the owner.
Well, he used to be the owner.
Yeah. Now he's not the owner anymore.
Right. Who was it? Art Modell?
Randy Lerner.
Oh, Randy Lerner.
Yeah.
How did that come to be? And were you a Pittsburgh Steelers fan, being from?
No. I wasn't a sports fan.
You just didn't give
all.
a shit.
Yeah, my dad and my brothers were big
Yeah.
football, baseball
Didn't
watchers.
Charlie Drayton play with you in
Charlie played in that band.
You know what's so funny is I ended up watching a Super Bowl with Charlie, like, and some other friends, like when the Giants, I think they won or something. And I said that at the end, and Charlie was there, and I was like, I've been in New York for 20 plus years, but I'm still a Browns fan. And he goes, "You are?" He goes, "But I used to play with G.E. Smith at the Browns games. And I have, if you want, like a bunch of Brown swag."
He's got stuff, yeah.
Dude, and then I said, "Oh my God, absolutely, I want that." And so I had like this Mackin Browns coat for a while.
You got the coat?
Thanks to you.
That coat's amazing.
By the way, yeah, dude.
I get that coat out like twice a year when it's freezing out, when it's really cold.
So thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah,
You're welcome.
And Charlie too. Yeah,
Charlie's the greatest. What a talented guy.
He's an amazing dude.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when you would do that, you would just travel there for the weekend and then come back, or would you?
We would just go out to the game.
Yeah.
Randy is a very good friend of mine who owned the team at the time.
Yeah.
And he happens to live near us.
Yeah.
Out in Amagansett. And he's a guitar player. He's a really good.
Oh, so that's the
He'd
connection.
never play in front of anybody. He's a real good acoustic guitar player.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that was the connection.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
And then did you write a Browns mantra?
We wrote a Brown song, not the best song that's ever been written, I think, but
Can you play like a little
I
bit?
can't remember.
You
a
can't
note
remember. All right, good.
or a
That's enough
word.
Browns
Yeah.
talk. Then
No.
I just had to
We'll
bring up
send
the
it to
Brown
you.
shit, dude. Yeah. Yeah.
On SNL, when you were a musical director, did you decide what bands came on and played?
No, I didn't decide it. That was a kind of a. There was several people who would,
Okay.
and the record companies would be lobbying every week for
For their bands to be on.
their bands to be on. Now, I would certainly have some input, into what was going to happen.
The reason I asked those years you were on, the early 90s, like some bands, the SNL performance was what really like launched it, or it was like a defining moment in their career, like Counting Crows, for instance.
Counting Crows, that was a big performance,
and
yeah.
Pearl Jam. So
Pearl
you were there
Jam.
for all that.
Nirvana.
Nirvana was on twice,
Yeah.
and
That was huge. I remember that.
They were
dude.
good.
I was so into them.
they were so good
Yeah,
live.
it was so good.
I mean, I had a nice talk with Kurt about Leadbelly.
Oh, right.
Because he had gotten deeply into Leadbelly.
Mhm.
He was thinking about buying Leadbelly's guitar, which was some insane amount of money,
Yeah, like a couple
and
$100,000.
yeah,
or
like
maybe
at
more,
least,
more.
maybe more.
Yeah.
And he was thinking about buying. He was like, wow, I said, man, even if you get the guitar, you're not Leadbelly. Yeah. He said, yeah, but
You talked him down?
I don't think I talked him down, but we did talk about it. And but Dave Grohl, in between songs, like at the rehearsal day, on Thursday when they come and do camera blocking and stuff, they'd play. I know they did Heart Shaped Box, one of the shows, and as soon as they'd finish, Grohl would very quietly sit there and be playing these amazing grooves, like R&B kind of funk.
Mm-hmm.
And I went, oh, this guy's like,
Legit.
this guy's a real drummer. This guy is serious. And he has certainly proved to be. And then Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers, who were on several times while I was there,
I remember. And
came
Dave,
on one time and Dave was playing drums.
I remember that one. Yeah.
And he sounded great.
And that was a big deal then, too, because it was like the generations coming together.
Definitely. And kind of
It was like,
two cultures clash. You
Yeah.
know. It was weird. And I said to Dave, you sound great. And he kind of looked at me like, yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen with this. We didn't really talk about it, but
well, that was after Kurt passed.
yeah, that was when Kurt.
And
Not too long after.
Not
but
too long
yeah.
after. And I remember thinking, like, yeah, Dave Grohl was like considering joining Tom Petty's band.
I think Tom asked him.
Yeah, that's what I had heard. That was that's what I had heard.
There's an interview with him about that.
Yeah,
He goes
but then
into detail.
he
But-
established the Foo Fighters.
Come on.
Probably a good call.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think he knew that he had that Foo Fighters thing in him.
Yeah.
He had songs, but I remember watching him play in between songs with Nirvana and just thinking, this guy's you already knew he was a great drummer, but I said, this guy's like way more than just this band.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people, it's hard, if a very important band like that
Right.
ends for whatever reason, it just breaks up or somebody dies or something, then what do you do after
Yeah.
that? It's very hard to reestablish yourself, and he's done that brilliantly.
Yeah, I mean, bigger even than Nirvana, I guess.
Well, certainly commercially.
Which is unbelievable because they were at the apex of popularity, really.
It was big, but all those bands, man, Pearl Jam, they were great
Yeah.
live. Tom Petty and the Heartbreakers were amazing live. Always. Every time I've seen them play, they were incredible.
Would you like see musicians getting ready to do their spot and be like nervous, terrified for the live television aspect? And,
No, because by the time people came on, they were pretty much pros at it.
Yeah.
Maybe some of the
Younger kids.
younger singers,
Yeah.
solo singers.
Yeah.
Some of them maybe would be a little. We had that guy. Remember Terrence Trent D'Arby?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. They would,
He was. I don't know if he was nervous or what. But he
freaked
seemed
out.
a little not freaked out, but he was a little. Some of them. The funniest one was the Pogues were on.
Shane McGowan.
And there was set for one of the comedy. It's a very small studio and everything's all jammed together.
Yeah.
So there's the band stage, my band's stage at the time, the house band, and then there's the guest band stage next to that. And so the Pogues are coming out ready to do their song, and all the comedy sets are jammed around for when they're going to be used. And one of them was like an old West bar room, the classic wooden, in the bar. And the actor who was playing the bartender, the Old West bartender, was there ready to do his bit, which was probably going to be right after the Pogue song. And as the Pogues are headed for the stage, Shane sees the bar and he goes over and he, whiskey! And the guy kind of looks at me and thinks he's kidding. He wasn't kidding. He wanted a drink and he wanted it right then. And it's like, it's not real. It's tea in there in those bottles, whiskey. That was funny.
That's funny.
What else? When the Replacements were on,
yeah,
they might have had a drink or two
right
before, and the guitar player.
Didn't they get banned after that or something?
Oh, I don't think they got banned. I don't think anybody ever really got banned. But the guitar player had a little stumble on the way out, and his guitar got broken. And, yeah, that was something.
On the way
to the stage.
On the way to the stage. So what did he do?
I don't remember, but we came. They had another guitar. We came up with one or something. But
right,
But I always loved the Replacements.
Me too.
What great records and
great songwriting.
Yeah, incredible song. Westerberg, his all of his solo stuff.
I love it too.
Yeah,
14 songs. That
all
one.
Of it.
The
stuff,
crazy
man.
internet shit he puts out. That's like one song, but it's 60 minutes long.
You know that song "Merry Go Round"?
I don't remember off the top of my head.
Merry go round. I don't know if I know the chords. I don't know the chords, but it's great. Merry Go Round or "Kiss Me on the Bus."
Yeah,
that song.
Yeah,
yeah, great stuff.
Yeah, man. Well, we've been going for 2 hours. Haven't we?
Yeah,
You're gonna have to do some serious editing, man.
Nah, dude, this was unbelievable.
Editing camera-wise.
We've been going for 2 hours.
Yeah.
So this is a long one for us.
Yeah. And you were there for the Sinead O'Connor moment, right?
Was there for Sinead.
We all were there for
what
the
was
Sinead
the reaction in the actual studio?
30th anniversary.
Well, he's talking about at the show.
Oh,
when she ripped up the
Pope.
photo.
Yeah,
of the Pope.
we knew she was going to do something,
but nobody knew what.
Nobody knew exactly what, so it wasn't like a surprise that she did something. And as much as NBC might want to project this corporate character that was offended, they love it when that stuff happens, because then more people are going to watch the show.
Yeah.
So
as long as they're talking about you,
it don't matter what they say, as long as they're talking about you.
That's it.
That's the oldest show business adage there is.
Yeah.
I thought you all were talking about when at the 30th anniversary when they booed her
at the Bob Dylan show.
Oh.
And her big mistake was that she came out and she started something and then she just waited, and a smart person would have just launched into the song, so they didn't have a chance to. But they booed her off the stage.
Yeah.
Because that was around the same time, right?
That was not too long after, and
it was because of that, though.
Yeah.
Who knew we had a lot of Catholics in the Bob Dylan fan group?
Well, I think also just like, I don't know. There's something about being a performer and just leaning into awkwardness. Like you said, anybody with a brain, and she's got one,
right,
would have just launched into the song.
Yeah.
But I have those same instincts on stage where I like to provoke the audience.
Yeah.
It's because that's entertainment. And that's entertainment for me. I like awkwardness. But I like it to land.
Yeah.
You don't want it to get it to a sea of boos that ultimately deliver you off the stage.
Right.
That's too awkward.
That's too awful.
That's too awful.
Let's try to avoid that.
That's when awkward goes awful, But awkwardness, where you're on that tightrope, where there's a lot of tension and the audience feels weird and you feel weird, and then it explodes into something great. To me, those are great moments.
Yeah, that's true. Because then you're finding a authentic place together.
Yeah.
It's like the stand-up comedy people that want to provoke and want to offend and want to get people really going, and they've taken it now to such extremes. You know.
What did you see the Golden Globes this time with Ricky Gervais?
I watched it later. You know, the next day I saw that.
I think he's funny. I'm like it is mean spirited, but it's funny, and it's like the outrage afterwards is also entertaining. You know,
but you got to remember, it's all about money.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Live, all these comedians, all this stuff, it's money. That's what it's all about. It ain't about nothing else.
Right.
Saturday Night Live is completely about money.
Right.
Nothing else. Maybe the first year for a minute back in 75, it might have been about it. They didn't know what they were doing, and it was just fun, and it was smart people, and they got together.
Yeah.
It's about money.
It becomes about money.
That's all it is.
Well, that's what sustains arts and crafts, man. Like Andy Warhol knew it. The best art is the art of making money. It's like, you know.
I'll tell you a good story.
Okay.
You know Jean-Paul Basquiat, you know that artist?
Dude, he's one of my, I'll show you my paintings. He's one of my favorites.
Okay,
Oh, yeah, I paint, yeah.
To come on his show.
Yeah, but I would love
We should do one.
You are in. You're a painter. I forgot about
I would love to. I'll show
my
you guys.
God,
I'll
yes.
show. I paint a lot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Taylor will talk to you about it.
I'm as much of a painter as a musician.
Perfect.
Yeah. So anyway, Jean-Michel Basquiat.
Jean-Michel. So I knew a woman that knew him.
Yeah.
I knew him like to see him around. Like this is in, again, 79, 80, that era, around then.
Yeah.
Okay? And one day I had a station wagon, I had a Datsun station wagon.
Mm-hmm.
And one day she calls me up and she says, hey, my friend needs to move some paintings. He's moving.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is like Bond Street, Great Jones Street area.
Right, that's where his...
I think we moved right around the block.
Yeah.
So we did 2 loads.
Oh, just give me one of your paintings.
We did 2 loads in the Datsun, right?
Yeah.
1 load.
Yeah.
Me and him carried the paintings up to his new place. And
Holy shit,
then
dude.
another
This
load.
is unbelievable to me,
And-
dude.
and, he was a nice guy, you know,
Yeah.
it was great. So we get done, and he goes, hey, man, you know, I give you a couple bucks. I said, it's cool. You're a friend of my friend Jody's. It's cool. Don't worry about it, you know.
Right.
And he goes, well, you want something? He says, I got all these art. You want? And I said, man, I really like this stuff, but I'm living in the Mayflower Hotel. What am I going to do with it?
Oh, man.
Yeah. Another good choice.
Oh, my God, bro. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Had it in your hand.
crazy.
They were the tall ones, like about 5 feet tall and maybe like 2 feet wide. He had a bunch of those. Those were the ones that fit in my car real
Right.
good. So we probably moved 20 of those.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, just take one, man, if you want.
That's wild. God, when you think of that.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
He's one of, I mean, the first time I ever saw his work, because I never went to college, I just went straight from Ohio down to Atlanta and lived there for like 4 years with a band and just was doing my thing, selling jewelry.
Playing around 5 Points.
Little 5 Points.
Yeah.
I lived in Little 5 Points.
There you go.
I sold jewelry on the street in Little 5 Points.
There
That's
you
what I
go.
did.
Yeah.
Took a lot of acid. Never had a shirt on. Basically had hair down to here.
Yeah.
You know,
I remember you, dude.
Yeah, I was one of those guys. And this girl I liked said, hey, you want to go to Alabama to this museum show? And in Alabama was a couple hours away, 2-3 hour drive or whatever. And I was like, to me, museum meant boring, like Renaissance art. Like I had no art education at all, but I liked her, so I was like, okay. And so we went, and it was this huge Jean-Michel Basquiat retrospective of his whole life's work that Madonna had been putting on,
Right.
and it was traveled around. And it was like lightning striking. I was like, you mean this? Because I had already started painting, and my painting was like looked fucked up, like it was just goofy. But I was like, you mean that can be in here? You know, like it blew my mind. I didn't know, you know, just coming from Ohio and then moving down there. And it was like seeing like the Beatles on Ed Sullivan for some people. I mean, I just got way into painting after that. I never stopped. You know,
Tell them about our daughter.
A little bit. We talked about the
our
Van
trek.
Gogh and
The Van Gogh, yeah.
trek.
going over to all those European places.
We
Yeah.
ate
And he played me Art is Sick.
I played
Well,
Heartsick.
how about that?
Yeah, it's a great
Pretty cool,
one.
right?
It's beautiful. Yeah, I love it.
Good.
Lou would be proud.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lou would be. We loved Lou.
Oh man, me
Do you
too.
know that he was doing Tai Chi on the day he died? He was in his pool and he passed in such beautiful peace, but
Right.
he literally did Tai Chi on
On
his
the-
way out.
Wow, that's incredible.
Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah.
On that somber note.
Well, yeah. God bless you guys, man. I
Yeah,
love
thank
both
you.
of y'all. You guys
Oh.
are awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, David
this-
Broza.
This is a great episode, man. So we really appreciate you. Everything you've done.
Thank you,
Joseph.
G.
Thank you.
Thank you, man. Appreciate it. Thanks, y'all. Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.